The Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show that today is November the 6th. The time is 9:00 a.m. I would ask that everyone silence their cell phones, please, so we don't have those interruptions. And would ask Miss Linda Washington, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance today? Nice to have you here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. You're in charge of that.
I'll do it that way. Right. And what am I supposed to do?
It's supposed to be 9:01.
Understand it anyway.
Okay. Madam Clerk to the board, would you conduct the roll call, please?
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Candace.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Audience introductions. Start over here.
Bubas for the Sentinel.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Gail Spitzfaden, public comment.
Thank you.
Linda Washington,
Citizen ad hoc.
ad hoc.
By the way, her synagogue was the one that was the terrorist attacked, was going to attack. So she has quite a story to tell.
There is a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Also. Tracy Ballard, the Valley Beat.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen.
None from me.
I have none.
No, I had a couple items, but I put them under commissioner items because obviously we were too late to get to the agenda on those. Approval of the minutes, I don't believe we have any.
No.
Commissioner items, Commissioner Canada, would you like to begin?
Sure, been pretty busy since we last met, which was on Monday, which is one of the things we did, which was meet to discuss broadband with all three government agencies here, two towns and the commissioners. I thought it was a good discussion. And as a result of that, several actions took place. I took a couple of them. One of which I got a hold of CDOT, and the gal Amy Ford was the second in command. She's moving on to a new job nationwide. But she said Bob took over, and Bob Pfeiffer is the guy. And she sent a note to Bob, and to get all the current info. I've got his numbers, but I wanted to make sure they're correct. And so she sent an email or a voicemail and a text to put in her, make sure that he knew that I was looking for him, so I'll follow up with him here pretty soon. By the way, she was very aware of Rivera, and I asked her if she knew of him.
Amy was.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment? I was very rude during that meeting, disparaging about an individual, and I just want to publicly apologize for that.
Good, thanks. So he has a lot of creds with CDOT, so I'll make sure Bob comes in and we can ask questions on how they work their match, and they do that according to Amy. So we just don't know what it is, and so therefore one of the other things I did was talk to Sally Clark for 15-20 minutes, and she sent out a note as a result of our call discussion, and she said, "Good afternoon, Commissioner Kanda. We have contacted our rural utilities service representative on his availability regarding the Reconnect broadband discussion with your group. I will let you know when I hear back, and we'll be in touch." What she's doing is she's more than happy to come. They're transitioning from last year's funds to this. We knew that. The fiscal year happened, and they've already been granted the money. She says, "I'm not sure how much it is yet," because she hasn't gotten the word. They haven't finalized the rules of engagement yet. And I asked for, I said we have some confusion on the application process, and we've got to understand what cash means, vice matching kind, and those things. She says, "I got the perfect guy that works for her, and he happens to be in Phoenix. I don't know why, but that's the guy that she references here, and he's the guy that works with the counties." So, and before he can meet before he will be available to meet with us, she probably will meet with us first. She's got to come to Fremont County to present some special award, which means they applied for something. And so they're going to do that, and she wants to tie it in with that visit, which may be next week or then sometime shortly after, but it'll be soon. And I told her no matter what time, and I said we prefer the afternoons because they're more open usually, but we will make the right people available whenever she's here. So she said great. Then I had a long talk with Tim Kunkelman and CenturyLink regarding the complaints we've been getting, and several things. I'll take it one at a time as we discussed it. The broadband program they're on is not going to be completed till the end of this month. And during that time, he's going to make sure that once it is complete, they'll send out notices, there'll be a field announcements, and there'll be an advertising campaign that you will be connected. You can subscribe to their service, get the new capabilities, and make sure they have the correct billing programs, because one false thing that was out there is if you drag a fiber to the residence, it costs too much. That's not true. So the quote that I got originally was, if you get a fiber to the residence, it was going to cost $500. That's not true. So he's going to make sure they put the right cost programs together and let you know how we can connect. You either connect by dragging a fiber into your house, or they'll do it by the phone line you currently have, depending on how far away they are and what service you want. He said that field teams will be out there, going to send a crew in behind all the construction guys' messes that they've been making, and that's a cleanup crew, and they're going to go and clean up all the trash. And then they're also responsible for flagging areas that haven't been put back to nature's perfect way we had left, where we gave it to them, you know, all the smoothed out and all that. They did mention that, you know, there's going to be some boulders that they pulled up, and you're not going to be burying those, but there'll be an opportunity perhaps to haul them off, or to arrange them in. We can put them along the trail or something. I don't know. He's open to anything. And and then if you want to subscribe, he said you can call their general biz office, or there'll be those folders in your mailboxes. Also, trash on the trash front. They want to include. As he followed that up, crews are going to be following. And he's also going to be working that facilities map we've been after him for. He wanted to include and make sure that it's current with all the residences that they're connecting now, that they've drug the pedestals into. And so that'll be on the map that shows the current CenturyLink broadband, fiber, and their phone line service. And I also asked him about, the fact that I mentioned that we have this opportunity to apply for the grant. He's also applying for the grant because we're not forgetting the Wetmore people that on our phone outage. They are working. He's by the 15th of January. He has to submit the state broadband fund grant for that. So he used part of that to get the fiber in out here to the east of us, and that's what he's going to hopefully be able to get enough money to pull together. And he wants to get other sources. He wants to get CDOT involved, the Forest Service, who else do we have in all our other programs that might be able to provide something to match in kind, because it's a 25% match that he has to provide, along with their own money, of course. Okay, so that's what he's doing right now, and so we'll stay tuned for what is in store for Wetmore. Which made me feel good that we're a lot of publicity on the current stuff they're doing, but they're not letting drop the subscribers. All right, and then had a discussion with Armstrong Engineering on the airport program in order to get the bid in. Cypher still he's waiting for an asphalt bid, which may or may not be as current as it could be, but it's good enough for discussion so that our plan with the airport board is to get together and build a program so we can get it started as soon as possible in the spring. And we'll hear more from Lynn and the airport guys tomorrow, I believe. And that's about all I've been doing for the last 10 hours.
Okay, Commissioner Prince.
I'll be more succinct, I hope. I also attended the broadband meeting on the 31st, then we had another one on the 4th. A lot of questions are table that we really don't have an interest in. On the 31st, the county's advisory group on ambulance service met in this room. And we came up with recommendations for the county. That's later on the agenda, so I'll present that actually when the time comes. I also spent quite a while speaking with Lisa Drew, the hospital director, and I spoke with Tom Shepard, a director at great length, about the hospital and the ambulance service. As you know, because we were all there, Heart of the Rockies is committed to meld with our hospital, our clinic. That's going to be a 6-month or so transition, maybe longer. It's not a very quick move. I spoke with the new director of the hospital, and he confirmed to me that the Heart of the Rockies has no interest in being involved in ambulance service at all. The committee that I met with in this room, our group, not with the hospital directors, felt very strongly that the direction that the hospital is really interested in going may not be in the best interest for the county. I'm trying to say that delicately. One of the directors for the clinic, the West Custer County Hospital District, is totally adamant about keeping the current methodology of the ambulance service in the county the way it is. Ms. Drew said to me they're exploring options such as a separate taxing district for the ambulance. When I spoke to Lisa Drew about who actually is going to be making these decisions, she feels that it is the hospital decision, that the county does not have rights to this, that we advocated that right to them in that letter or that agreement back in 1989. I mentioned to her that I felt that our legal counsel may feel differently to that, although I don't have anything confirmed as to that, but ultimately, if it came down to it, it may be a decision that a judge is going to have to decide. So, I'm not going to say this is contentious, but we're not really seeing eye to eye on the future ambulance service at this point. And I'll get into some of that a little later when
But you still have the two committees talking with each other, and the intent is to come up with something to recommend to the board.
Absolutely. I do want to tell you, though, my advisory group, and I don't want to call them committee, my advisory group agreed that even pursuing it further with the Wet Mountain Fire Protection District was really just a waste of time. The only reason they even agreed to meet originally is because I shamed them into it, and I really did. I said, you guys don't even want to sit down and talk? And they go, well, I guess we could talk if that's the case. And then they brought up one issue after another, why it wouldn't work, and I decided, why am I wasting everybody's time with this? So at the moment, unless the two of you direct me, I'm put them on the back burner. That is really not an issue at this point. We have more fish to fry, bigger fish to fry, in terms of how are we going to adequately handle ambulance service to the eastern portion of our county. So anyway, that was that. Let's see. Had multiple other conversations about a lot of different things, but I really have nothing else to report at this point. I'll save it for my actual discussion.
All right, thank you. Just quickly, October the 31st, attended the broadband workshop here. We had some guests in that meeting as well. I also attended the clinic board meeting on the 31st of October that Jay spoke to. You had said we were all there. That's not quite true. You and I were there.
Oh, I thought that was...
Commissioner Candu was not.
I didn't
Clinic
realize that.
board meeting.
Yeah, I understand.
November the 4th, I attended the Central Front Range Regional Transportation Planning meeting down in Florence. We are in the process of moving forward with the long-term plan for our region, which includes Park, Chaffee, Fremont, and Custer counties, and most of El Paso County. That is the Central Front Range counties. And the governor has directed CDOT to come up with a 10-year plan, and they've broken that down into a 4-year plan and a 10-year plan, so we're continuing to work that. Got some issues, but, those deals. November the 4th, I also reached out to Reach Air Ambulance out of California. Have not heard back from them, left a message for him and have not heard back. And then I also attended a Fair Board meeting on the 4th, trying to stay abreast of what's going on there. And then on some other commissioner items, I had forwarded a copy of the letter that we were going to send out to the adjoining landowners of 3 parcels that we're considering selling over on Highway 165 by San Isabel. So if you have a chance,
Would you
review
resend that?
those.
Because I couldn't open up the
I
attachment for some
think I
reason.
resent it again this morning.
I just got it this
You
morning.
just got it?
When
I
I
didn't.
went to get the legal on that, did you send letters yet?
No.
Oh, good, because the county does not own those lots.
Oh,
Yeah, Jackie
They-
called me on that. I
Did she?
thought she had told you about that.
No.
as
Yeah,
well.
they own one on this end and one on this end, but the ones in the middle, JD's pretty sure that the state of Colorado owns
Oh, okay.
them. And I don't know, I was gonna do some research on it and I just haven't had time.
so we will obviously put all this on hold, so, okay. The other thing I think we need to talk about at some point, and maybe it needs to go on an agenda item for tomorrow, and that's the dedicated service. And maybe we'll have Miss Donna come over and we can talk about that. So let's put that on for tomorrow, new business, dedicated service. We'll do that early on the
Probably in
agenda.
her, is she doing her report tomorrow?
She is doing her report tomorrow, and I think she's talking about some of that.
Okay,
yes.
we can just do it during her report. I'll make a note of that. Thank
Okay.
you.
If we're gonna make a decision, maybe we ought to put it as an agenda item.
Well, we can put pending
Pending.
Pending.
action item
Yeah.
on her
I think
report.
I have her. Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah. And then received communication from an individual who's recommending that we consider giving back the ownership of the Vertimont Tower back to the state of Colorado. So I suppose we ought to have some discussion about that at some point here in the near future.
Had some reasons to do that.
Well, yeah, I think generally as I've understood it since I've been elected was that we are responsible for that tower because we own it.
Right?
The state would own it, but for some reason the county decided they wanted to. But it opens us up to significant liability for lightning strikes and that kind of stuff, which we've suffered 2 of those already. But I think, as I understand it, the fire is the only equipment that's up there. So I'm not sure why the county's owning equipment for the fire department, but we'll just have to see how that all goes, so.
Can I suggest we get the people who, because I'm kind of I'm like, I don't know, I say like.
You are like me, 'cause I really don't
I'm
know all
fog
the
about
details,
what
yeah.
really is the story there. Before we make any decisions, I'd really like to have whoever has the knowledge to tell us what the story is on that tower.
Yeah, so
We've been dealing
maybe
with
we
that
put that on a subsequent agenda and we'll invite representative from the fire, representative from Road and Bridge, because
Be perfect.
they're the ones that deal with it typically. And then we'll go ahead and GIS or IT and get them in here and maybe have a discussion. So because we're having our mid-month meeting here, I'd recommend that we put that on the agenda for the 13th.
And
So
they-
discussion of Vertimont, consideration of ownership of Vertimont Tower. I think would suffice. That way, if we do make a decision, we want to vote on something, we can,
Right.
instead of just discussion.
And invite the players to come and help
Right.
us
Yeah,
understand
I'll
what's
take care
going
of
on
that.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good point, thank you. And then the other thing I had under Commissioner business this morning was received some communication from the Forest Service. Here it is. They're wanting us to give them a letter of support. I just got this, so was not able to forward it, but they're asking for a letter of support for the San Carlos Ranger District OHV Trails grant they're applying for. So
good.
we've he's just asking us to support them on their as they
Cover all
move
the
forward to
San
get a
Isabel
grant.
Trail,
Yeah.
or San,
Yeah, your support will help us purchase and maintain equipment to improve the efficiency of the OHV trail. We will maintain ATV and motorized single track trails in Lake Isabel, Levita, and the Wet Mountain areas.
cool.
So I didn't want to just do this without having a discussion. If you guys are by consent, if you're okay with that, I'll move forward with that and we'll get something put together.
Not do it.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that. I believe that's all I had. Okay, Upper Ark Water Conservancy District. Anybody have anything for that? We're moving forward. You know, I think I've reported there is a trial date set for that. I spoke to one of the opposers yesterday. Their attorney bills continue to mount up, but
Yeah, and I asked, and I haven't heard back yet for a meeting, or update on the proposal we gave them in our last meeting, and when we're gonna be able to meet with the Blue Line Committee to resolve whether we're gonna do it or not, save some money.
When is the trial date?
July 2021.
July
2020.
21. And my assumption is that the Blue Line Committee may make a recommendation to the Board of Directors. I don't know.
2021?
21, yeah.
21. 2021.
Seriously?
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Okay,
Way out there.
attorney items?
I got an email from you, Tom, about the lights in the parking lot
Yes.
out here, and
It was a nice, polite one.
I tried to be polite.
It was very polite.
our next Dark Skies meeting is November 18th. I think I'll take it to the board, but I think I will certainly strongly recommend that we pay to switch out all those lights out there. But we got to get Brad Huff to give us or give him an ultimatum. He's got to get it done because the
Yeah.
other one has been.
Yeah, may I give you a little backstory
Sure,
on
sure.
that? Brad has the light that we asked him to order. He said he's had it in the back of his pickups,
Okay.
behind the seat of his pickup. He was prepared to install that, and then he realized that none of these lights are really what they should be.
Okay.
Two of them aren't working. And, well, I think there's three.
Four of them aren't
So
working.
there's three not working, plus the one that's broken, correct?
Makes them
The
all.
one that blew
I don't
down.
know. There's no lights out there.
Yeah, so he said, I'll put this
Dark
one up.
skies me.
He said, I'll go install it, but he said, I guarantee you're not gonna be happy with it. It's not gonna match any of the other lighting structures. He said, my recommendation is to replace them all with LED lights, and if Dark Skies is interested in helping him with that, then we should find out. And I said, okay, that was last Thursday, and I was out of town on Friday, so that's why the one light, which is all we had talked to him about, correct?
The one that blew down,
Yeah.
yeah.
He had that. That's why he didn't install it.
Okay. Well, and actually to expedite this, I can send out an email to our board of directors asking just for an email vote on it. But that's what we do, and I'd be happy to
Well-
recommend we pay for all the lights to be switched out.
And let me throw this out to the commissioners and you as chairman of the Dark Skies. It's
President.
not dark.
President.
Mr. President.
They play hail to the chief every time I come in
Okay.
and sit down.
So I apologize for that.
Okay.
They turn out the lights when you walk
Dark
in.
Skies' responsibility to light the parking lot for the courthouse. It is our responsibility. So I'm going to suggest that we go ahead and move forward with this and ask Dark Skies if they'd like to contribute to that. But I don't know that we need to sit here and not make a decision because we're waiting on Dark Skies. It's not their job, it's our job.
Well, we want to be compliant too.
Well, and so
We
my,
need to get involved with it.
Brad knows what
yeah,
kind of
he
lights
knows.
are.
So my suggestion is we go ahead and hire Brad Huff to do it,
Right.
and then hope and ask Dark Skies to participate in that to whatever level they feel is appropriate.
That's fine.
I just feel like that's
We
the
don't have to wait,
appropriate
that's for sure.
approach.
I don't disagree.
Or come and escort people out when it's dark.
Yeah, flashlight. Commissioners could be here and escort
That's
out.
what they use, but then Kelly says somebody slid,
But
didn't
we
he?
would save money if we gave Kelly.
It was dark last night.
Lights
Well,
didn't win and
We
let
would,
them.
yeah. So with that, I will go ahead and contact Brad, and if you guys are all right with that. Sir, I know we're in the middle of your report, and I apologize.
No, I brought it up, so.
But the only thing I want to make sure is that whatever Brad's going to put up is
Compliant.
authorized, I don't want to say authorized, but it's
And
compliant.
he's worked with us on a lot of the lights. He knows
It's
what he's
compatible,
done.
that's a better way.
Dark sky compliant,
Yeah.
just it satisfied the codes of
Right.
the two towns.
Yeah, he's aware of that, so,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, well, I will talk to him about that. Sorry, sir, go
All
ahead.
right.
Anything else?
Let's see. So, at our last meeting, when we talked about attainable housing, I wrote a letter of acceptance to Colorado College because they'd actually made the offer. So I accepted their offer to
okay.
purchase those lots for $36,000, and I haven't gotten a response yet. I think I did that it would have to be taken up by their board up there, so that's in the process.
Okay.
This is another dark sky thing, but I think it's good for the entire valley. Last night at the Smoky Jack Observatory, I hosted a freelance writer. He's sort of well-known worldwide. He came here, was arranged by the Colorado Tourism Office, and we spent a couple hours down at the observatory. It was cold as usual. People always are amazed when the roof is open, it gets cold in there, but he was impressed with this. He grew up in this country. Now he lives in Zurich, Switzerland. And I went to his website. He's been all over the world and written travel articles, and not just about the places he's visited, about the lodging, about the meals that he's eaten. So I think he had the best meal possible. He ate at Chappie's last night. And
What do you order?
he had a steak and he had the mac and cheese on the side. So just
Best
to
mac
get-
and cheese in the world.
it really is good. Anyway, because I asked him, "Are you actually going to write an article about this?" He said, "I really would. He's worked with International Dark Sky Association in the past and has visited other dark sky locations around the world. So hopefully something will come
What
of that."
time was it? Were the clouds in yet?
There were no clouds last night.
That's
It was
good.
clear, but it was cold.
What's his name, Clint?
Adam Graham, Graham. You ought to go to his website. Just Google his name and you'll find some very interesting stuff. And he was staying, and I didn't know the name of it, the 14er Ranch, which is it's down on South Colony Road. That was like the two tents with a little structure in between.
Oh, yeah.
And but he said it was very nice and comfortable. So, okay. The other thing was the issue regarding who owns roads in the subdivision, and I put that on the agenda for tomorrow. I did a lot of research on it on Monday and again yesterday. But I started in Virginia's office. I wanted to find out who had the HUTF list of roads, and she didn't. And the president of the HOA from Corona Verde had already been in there to talk to her. So then I went upstairs and talked to, JD wasn't there, I talked to Kristen, I guess, and she didn't really have that information, but the guy from the HOA had been in there asking. So then I went over to Road and Bridge, and the guy had been there I felt like I was following him around. But Gary and Gary was there, and Sherry was there, of course, and they got me a list of all the HUTF roads that we're getting money for, and we're getting money for a lot of them in Corona Verde, but not all of them. I did a lot of legal research, and I'm prepared to report on this in detail tomorrow as to ownership.
Good.
because there's a lot of
Who's
confusion at well, there's two different things, who's responsible for maintenance and who actually owns the roads. That's two different issues.
Exactly. See, and everybody thinks that's the same issue.
Yeah, because we don't own, in my opinion, legal opinion, we don't own any roads in these subdivisions. We have rights of way, and if we agree, and it's discretionary with the county, if we'll accept a road for maintenance, and obviously we have for a lot of those roads in Corona Verde, but we don't own the roads. And I'll talk about this, because I invited that gentleman, Mr. Dugan, to be here, and I asked Gary and Roger to be here tomorrow as well, so we can have a discussion on this.
Okay, that's probably good. 'Cause we need to
Corona
get this.
Verde will be here in Mass tomorrow,
Okay,
is what
well.
I heard.
They've been
Who's
calling.
coming in mass?
The people from Corona Verde.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's interesting what I found about ownership of roads, you know, it's amazing.
I'll put on a clean shirt.
Yeah, probably good idea. So that's all I have to report for attorney items.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Public comment? Yes, ma'am.
A little bit of history. I live in Brush Creek Estates on the north end of the valley, and it was established in the early 70s. In 1991, Mountain States Telephone ran a phone line up the access road. We crossed private property to get to our subdivision, which we had to sue for legal access last year because we have a hostile
remember that.
landowner. So we got that legal access. In the wording, it didn't say anything about utilities. It said services and enjoyment and maintenance of the road we were granted, but for residential use, but it didn't specifically say utilities. CenturyLink is at the gate. The county, the old maps of the county said that that was County Road 193, but it was never brought up to county standards. So they never got a right-of-way easement recorded. So that phone line that runs up the easement road is not on record. And the landowners won't allow them to plow in the broadband line, the fiber optic line, because
Private road.
yeah. So it was also partially Mountain States Telephone, then Quest, then CenturyTel, then CenturyLink. Their problem that they didn't have a legal recorded utility easement. So my question is there anything that the county can do to help us get access up that easement road? We thought we had our neighbors' agreement that they were going to plow it in on their private land, but one of them backed out because of hesitation.
We're talking about access for broadband to come in, is that what you're referring to? Okay. This wasn't
Because the original
I
phone
got
line
it.
goes
I
up the
see.
easement road.
But the broadband wasn't coming up in the land.
Right, they're stopping
No.
4,000 feet from our subdivision.
Right.
So, we may have increased service. I mean, we barely get 1.5, and most of the time you can't even do a speed test. So,
So current phone lines are in, do they allow
Yes.
them to be maintained? Because there's no right of way,
there's no legal,
so you have.
so if something
you have a
happened to
bigger
them,
issue, sounds like.
yeah, the phone company or somebody would have to fight them,
Yeah.
in
just to fix
order
it.
to. So, because the county didn't require or didn't request Mountain States Telephone to get a legal easement, is there anything that y'all can do to help us get that plowed in up that road?
Just for the fellow commissioners, you called me about this, and I recommended you come here and bring this to us to see if there was any further discussion that I had. I think I mentioned to you, I was unaware of what we could possibly do on a private road. But I suggest if you want to bring it to the commissioners, I just want to bring them up to speed on.
So, how many landowners up there, do you know? I mean, how many people
There's
would this
30
affect?
lots, that's in Brush Creek Estates, then there's Bob Lawrence Tracks behind us. 30 lots, 20 dwelling units.
Okay,
How many lots are blocking it, won't support the right of way below you?
Just a conservation
one?
easement that's privately owned by Jane Lawrence.
Oh, it's just one.
Lawrence
one
Family
owner.
Ranch,
Stop.
right. And San Isabel put the conservation easement on there without exploring the utility easement
Yeah.
either, and in the court case, if we'd have known this was gonna happen, we certainly would have requested utility easement, but we didn't know, and I don't know if the wording in the decree would allow us to, we'd probably have to get clarification from the court.
Yeah, and
We spent a
Lawrence
lot of money last year
Yeah.
trying to get legal access to our subdivision.
Lawrence is adjoin that road, correct, on the south, 193. I don't
Well,
know.
once you get off the county road, once you get off 193 onto, it's called San Rafael,
Right.
that's Lawrence's land. It does go
On both
across.
sides.
No, it's actually the easement road is along the
South.
northern border.
Yeah, well, they're south of that
Right,
road.
and there is some private property that's outside the fence line. One of the neighbors, Garris, to the north, they have some of the property.
Yeah, Fox is on the land of the north of County Road 193.
Garris's and
Boykin-
then Fox's and then Brush Creek Estates.
So, yeah, I guess this would be a legal counsel question. I don't think there's anything we can do. Again, it comes back to responsibility, easements, rights of way. I have no idea where we're at with County Road 193 from, and that runs clear down to County Road 192, correct? Yeah, so,
Yeah, it's only about it's not even a half mile.
right.
If there was a way to bring the fiber in, could it follow a county road? Or would that not work?
No, there's no county road.
That's what I
We're
thought.
sort of an island
So where
up
does
there.
where does the issue start? At San Rafael or
Yes,
193?
at the end of County Road 193,
From there
where it
west.
goes onto actually Garris's land, and they would be willing to, because they already granted the easement on their property, but
Then it hits.
then it hits Lawrence's,
Lawrence's
and
again.
they're not reasonable people.
Well,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say
I-
that on the
it's-
record.
I mentioned to you when you spoke to me about it earlier that I don't see how the county could impose itself on a private property. But I thought it would be worth coming here to bring it to our attention because maybe council or someone else here has.
Well, can I ask a couple of questions? I haven't seen the plat or any on this or the map, but so you said it's like 4,000 feet of that you got through the court action, the
Yes, it was a
easement?
road that we'd used for over 40 years.
Okay.
And because the cabins are now changing hands because the original owners are
Where'd you
selling.
go to court? Here in Custer County then? Who was the judge?
Merrick,
All right.
he was a magistrate.
I'm not even sure, but you had an easement by prescription and you had used that continuously for
Yes.
over 40 years. So there was and generally when you have, and this is just general talk, you really need to talk to your lawyer again, I guess, and you had a phone line that came up that road?
Yes, it was installed in 1991.
Still using it, right?
Yes,
All right, well, you already have an easement for utilities then by right, just by prescriptive easement, because of the continuous usage of it. You've got an easement for utilities there. And I don't know, your court action, if it didn't address that, perhaps it should have, but I think you ought to go back to your lawyer and talk to him about that you already have an easement for utilities along that road. You don't, and I don't know what it would take, whether the lawyer has to go back to court and clarify that, but legally, just the fact that you used it as a road for so many years and that you used it for utilities coming in, it's already there. You know, but obviously, if you just go and start putting in the phone, or there nobody's going to
Yeah,
put
there's
it
been
in.
some threats, just
Yeah.
even at the, at the
So,
gate entrance.
yeah, I think your question was, is there anything the county can do? I don't believe there is. I think you're gonna have to do as council suggested here, is go back to your attorney and request a court docket hearing and see about, can they entertain adding that utility
Yeah,
that you've already got, that utility easement
Yeah.
onto your deal. But
Yeah,
I
I mean,
I don't
the
know
fact
that we
that-
have time because, once CenturyLink's out of there,
Right.
this is like a once in a lifetime thing, just,
Yeah.
to bring our neighborhood up into,
Well,
this.
again, I don't want to be giving legal advice. There are certain procedures where you can get expedited action done if there's going to be a substantial loss if nothing happens quickly. But you'd have to talk to your attorney beyond that, where you
Okay.
could get some kind of court order right away.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Sheriff Harley, you wanna weigh in?
Gail, I would just echo so. I'm very familiar with all of this, as you know, because we get contacted at least every other week about issues regarding access period across this. Unless, in the court order, I've read it several times, and so I think you are authorized with utilities, but because it doesn't specifically cite, they're gonna give you nothing but problems anyways. You probably do need to have your attorney get on it, and if you could probably expedite it, as Mr. Smith said. But I think you're gonna need to have him so that it's specifically spelled out in crayon what they can do.
That's all they give
Or
lawyers and judges.
or they'll give you problems. You know better than I how many problems you guys are having, and everything has to be in capital block letter, or
Right.
they don't understand it.
Right.
And I'm just trying to be honest.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Could they, just a legal question, could they appeal if we got the magistrate to clarify that and add the utilities into the easement? Could they appeal to that?
That'd
Sure,
be-
that's what lawyers do.
Be a question for your attorney. Yeah, so, yeah.
You got a little time.
We gotta be careful about doling out legal advice. It's not our
Right,
responsibility, it's not what we're paying our attorney
No.
for.
Yeah, my ultimate advice is go see your
Yeah,
attorney.
there you go, yeah.
Everything else is just me speculating on things. I'm not,
Right.
you don't take that to the bank or anything.
No,
All right,
thank you.
you bet, thank you. Anything else, public comment? If not, we will move on. Let me get out of this map app.
Rusty is ready.
We'll move on to staff reports. As much as I hate to this early, because we're only 30 minutes behind schedule. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Rusty.
Oh, apparently we're taking a short social break here.
I see you look well rested, Rusty.
Fueling them
This is
up.
the first time I saw the sheriff doing
Wasn't sure
this.
if you were going to pour for me or not.
Good morning.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Okay.
Good. Good. We'll pull up the appropriate docs here. Can't believe it's the 6th of November already.
Right. I was here yesterday for my meeting, but
Oh, how'd it go?
it was really
That's
fast.
why you took the rest of the day off?
Yeah, did anybody give you any grief? Well, let's try it again today. How's that?
Okay.
Sweet.
That was a pre-run.
All yours, sir. Go ahead.
Skid steer will be delivered to Four Rivers on the 13th, they're thinking.
Okay.
So we'll pick it up after the first of the year.
They don't deliver that on a new vehicle, huh? I mean, on a new purchase? That's weak.
Yeah. So.
You got a trailer that
we'll-
can haul it,
well, yeah, we do.
road and bridge.
And a pickup. We'll go get it.
Brand new
Your
pickup.
pickup?
And so we'll get it after the first of the year because we wouldn't get reimbursed from the state this year. So if we do it after the first of the year and get it invoiced for after the first of the year, then it'll all be good. Then the state can reimburse the county.
You can house that in your cardboard area, keep it inside.
Yeah. financial assurance is done and sent to the state, and the 5-year was also finished and sent off. We had a truck gonna come last Wednesday whenever it was snowing, so we had to cancel our truck for cardboard. But we got another one for the 13th, so that'll be good.
Good.
Even though it's not worth much, we need to get rid of it. I really don't have a whole
You
lot
had a note
else.
there on fire prevention.
Fire prevention, yeah. That was our safety.
Oh, that was your safety meeting.
Safety,
what you
yeah.
went over, so, okay. Good. And then I'm assuming you will have appropriate training on the new skid steer with all your folks
Right.
for insurance purposes. I'm sure they're all capable of running one, but
Yeah, and the state wants that too, so we have to prove to them that everybody's been trained on it.
good.
So we'll do that.
And I know I've asked this 100 times. That was the CDPHE grant,
Right.
for the skid steer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's not going to cost us anything. They're paying for that.
Yeah. Sweet.
So that's a good thing. Good thing
Yeah,
for
that was a
recycling
match grant.
recycling grant.
Yeah.
No matching.
No match.
No.
Very good.
So it's nice to get a piece of equipment for nothing.
Change.
Yeah.
And I saw those coyotes charge us $600 to ship back their piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Justice in the world.
Yep. One time that scraper came from Sterling, I think. We had to pay for that.
$2,000, man.
Yeah. It's expensive. But the revenue should be about the same as last year, I'm guessing at this point. 2018 it was 218,000, so it'll be real close to that.
Get mine oriented to the world. There we go.
They just really haven't been bringing the roll-off containers like they have in the past, so
They've been dumping it in the bar pits on you.
I don't know.
They found a lot of tires, CenturyLink did. When they went through and drug up things.
Oh, is that right?
Ditches, yeah. Where they all those piles you see on the side of the road.
I've only seen the one out there.
A couple up here on Horn Road.
I saw the one at Brush Hollow in 96 yesterday.
Yeah, 96. And,
Which I was going to stop and throw them in the back of my pickup, and I come by
Look
the
better than
dark
your
and I
tires.
forgot about it. But we need to get them out of there. I'm sure we'll talk to Gary about that.
Well,
Somebody
CenturyLink dug
said-
them up, they'll be pulling them out.
Somebody said that they were using those to cross the state highway with their equipment, running over them.
Could be the tractor.
But I don't know if that's right or not either.
Be nice if they did, if they're running that dozer with that ripper blade on to cross the highway. So maybe we
Probably
leave them
did.
there, but
They're going to clean them up.
so we'll have to talk to Big Enough back there when he comes up. All right, sir, anything else?
No?
Everything's
Okay.
working?
Yeah. So far, all is good.
How long do we want to wait until we address the new well site?
I don't know. Yeah.
Money?
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have in your budget this year, correct, to drill a
No.
new well?
No.
How deep is that current well, any idea?
240 feet to groundwater,
Oh,
or to the uppermost aquifer,
it's not to the bottom of the hole.
right? So,
And I would imagine we'll be looking $30 a foot.
yeah, we're gonna have to come up out of that draw, and so that's even gonna make it deeper, I imagine,
Or
Longer.
20, 25.
unless the water table's changed.
Any idea where you'd want that new well?
Just up there behind the,
Close to your building?
yeah, a little closer to the building. I imagine, so it'll be out of the way.
The further we drill it away from your building, the more we're gonna have to
Pump it.
dig in and run a water line.
Right.
Think we should have it witched?
Never hurts.
I mean, it'd be nice to have it within 40 feet of your building.
Yeah. Would.
South side,
is.
probably.
Right.
You really can't go east or west, that gets used. Driveway almost, huh?
So it's not in the budget next year, right?
We can do that. Because we can dig those trenches first.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we ought to think about trying to get 15 grand a year in the budget for 2020 and 2021, and
Get it lined up.
I wonder about putting it up by the highway or the north fence line somewhere up there and just trenching across that.
Yeah. That'd work too. That'd probably be best.
Yeah.
It's about $12,000 to drill it or so. If it's 400 feet deep,
12,000.
not too bad.
To drill up the casing and trenching and wire and a pump, I'll be on top of that. So
Well, we have 9,681 in the landfill fund right now.
maybe next year we better try to get 15 grand in there and earmark it for that.
Start putting the cardboard towards Rusty. Thank you.
Sheriff Barley, you had a comment?
No, I was waiting
Oh,
on someone.
sorry. Yeah, well, let's not forget that, because, man, I don't want all that to come on at once. If we can get
Right.
the well moved now, it'd be nice. We
Yeah.
can continue to operate out there without it, but
You have some funds in the budget for the rest of this year, don't you? 9,000 left? Need it.
Professional services is broke. And that's pretty much where the money, all the money comes from.
yeah, you had 10,000.
But we took
in
25,000 out of it last budget too, so that's
Right.
why.
there. Right, so next year, let's try to get in maybe 15 grand,
Yeah.
or whatever we think half of it would be, and in 2 years, we should be able to fund that. Get it done 2021 if we can.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, sir. Anything else?
Okay.
Thank you
No,
for coming in.
I think I'm
Appreciate
good.
it.
You betcha.
Everybody doing all right out
It's
there?
2 days in a row, so.
Yeah.
We'll see you
Been
tomorrow
good.
too.
What's that?
Will we see you tomorrow?
Yeah. I'll pop in.
Better than going to work, isn't it? Huh. All right,
Kelly.
man. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Road and Bridge. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Gary.
The floor is yours, sir.
So I was going to talk about this Queen of Rudy Road situation, but is that something you want to wait for?
Well,
tomorrow,
yeah,
or-
we're going to get a report from legal tomorrow. Were you here when he talked about that? Okay, I think he walked in just afterward. He said he's done a bunch of research on that. He's going to give us his legal opinion tomorrow.
Okay.
If you have time, it might be something that you might want to come back and set in on.
Yeah, I think I will. I think
It'll be
Roger.
early.
Probably better.
Yeah, Roger and I are both planning on being here about
I'd
10:30.
say- No, that'll come under attorney report, unless, let me just check real quick here so I'm not shooting my yap off. I don't have any business.
I mean, it could directly affect us, or it
Yeah,
would, so I'd like to be here.
Appreciate you could be here, because if they're gonna have a room full of folks, we need
See
to know.
what they said, there's some that have been turned over, some that haven't. They're
Well,
gonna need to be on, let us know what it is.
Okay.
yeah, let's continue this discussion when council gets back in here. Corner Verde's on the agenda tomorrow for two things. So their PILT funding request, I'm sure they're gonna have people here for that specifically. But, council, we've got consideration of the Corona Verde request concerning the road on the agenda.
For tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when you're gonna give your legal opinion about that, not during the attorney.
Oops, sorry.
No, it'll be during that
Okay,
part, 'cause
so
I
yeah.
told Mr. Dugan maybe 9:30 or so before we get to,
Yeah, and it's gonna be later than that. It'll
That's
probably
fine.
be closer to 10:30 or 11.
well,
but
then it'll
that's
be
all.
his
Yeah.
privilege to watch you in action for an hour
That's
first.
great.
That'll be
yeah.
great.
So, yeah, I'm looking at tomorrow's agenda. So, I would say probably 10:30.
Okay, and what I've done in the past, and like this morning, I just monitor the commissioners' meeting until I think it's getting closed. So that way I can continue to
For
do.
your personal enjoyment, you monitor that.
Not necessarily. It allows me to do things in my office
Right.
till it's my time.
Okay. Timed it pretty good today, of course.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, let's hold off on that then until tomorrow.
Okay.
I think that would be good for you guys to be here and hear councils.
Sure. And I did take time to drive each
Did you?
of the one,
Yeah.
each of the resident questions. So.
And are the folks living at the end of Kiowa Circle? Thank you. Could not think of it.
Well,
Did it appear that somebody was? I mean, is there tire tracks in and out?
There's tire tracks going in and out, but it was the realtor sign's still there, and it was my understanding from a couple of individuals with the board over at Cuerna Verde that came in a day or so ago that they were going to close potentially on that home like yesterday or the day before. So
Okay. She had mentioned something about it in an email.
Yeah.
I just didn't go back and research.
I don't know if
So
that went-
you've had some folks come visit with you. Nice.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice that your office doors are open, swing both ways. And
Yeah.
there's such a cordial, inviting road supervisor.
Well, can't hardly lock it.
Didn't get contentious, did it?
Not at all.
Good.
No.
Good.
No. So it's all good.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll defer that until tomorrow. Then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I was going to mention the culvert situation and the
Yeah.
responsibility of that being on the Road and Bridge Department to maintain those. I did, Sherry got feedback from another county, and I'm going to continue to do research on that. I got some information from another county, and they leave it up to the property owner to maintain those from the point in which they're installed, from that point on.
Yeah, and
They
the
install
problem
them.
with that is if they don't, and it starts washing out on the county side of the county road side of the culvert.
Yeah.
Do they have a penalty if they don't do it?
Well, I know one county states in there in the agreement they must maintain it, and then if there is any kind of damage to it, that they have to remedy it. Yeah, they got to get it fixed. So anyway, it's just one of those things that I want to do some more research on, because that is the downside. Fortunately, I haven't seen a lot of that. You know, there's been a lot of culverts we've not been able to go out and clean, and because we just hadn't had time, and fortunately, I've not seen them do any kind of damage to the road. It typically will wash out at the end of the entrance going onto their property, but it really doesn't affect us that much typically. So that's the good side, or good part.
Yeah, I mean, I would struggle with a policy that said the homeowners are going to maintain these culverts. I see it on Hermit above me.
Mm-hmm.
The county, if we didn't maintain those culverts, those homeowners wouldn't, because they don't care as long as they can drive across it and it's washing out the county road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that too, Gary. That one you guys did out there for Lee subdivision, it had washed the road out.
Coming out onto the road.
So it's a subdivision responsibility there if it was going to be turned over, which I bet probably can be done. Then I've seen a couple of them where they would put in a culvert, and in the doing that, found the culvert that was already in there that had been buried for years.
Well, and then there's always that possibility. I mean, we could always put it to the property owners like this when they call in to want a culvert cleaned. We'll just tell them we'll get to it when we can.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
So- And that's
you
kind
have
of
to
what we've
budget
been
for it somehow.
doing lately. Is
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's in the county's best interest for the county to take care of these culverts because it's going to damage our county roads.
well, and I think that's possibly one of the reasons they did it in the first place.
That makes us user friendly too.
And legally, I would guess these culverts that I'm aware of, they're all on county road easements. They're not sitting back on the private land. They're out on the, right alongside the county road. So,
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both.
yeah.
But-
And as we left it the other day, you're working on a policy about installation of culverts, right?
Right.
Is that where we left it? That you were gonna? Okay.
Yeah.
Next few months, hopefully we can.
Get ready for summertime installation.
Yeah, I'd like to generate something, get something in place and then let you guys review it and give me your thoughts on it and then go from there.
Okay.
Maybe make some modifications to the current one, so.
And where are we at with Muirfield Road? What did we decide to do there? Disallow it, didn't we?
Correct,
We voted
yeah.
to disallow that.
Yeah,
You
and
can
then
come up with a policy and then let him reapply.
Yeah,
Did you notify the landowner?
not yet.
You want us to do that
Uh,
since it came as a vote to the commissioners, or?
Well,
you wanna deal with it?
no, I'll deal with it. I'll give him a call and let him know what we decided on that, so.
All right. Those were the three.
No broken snow plows in the last couple of storms? Everybody plowing okay? No complaints?
I haven't heard
I
of
haven't heard any.
the,
I heard some good stuff.
I know the roads have been easier to maintain now that we've gotten that moisture. We're actually starting to gain a little bit. Whereas prior to the snow, that we were really having a tough time. So it's stabilized the roads. So.
A little off topic, but I think the conversation needs to be had with you as well as the airport, and that is they're after some material to fill in some low spots on the north end of the existing west row of hangars. There's 3 lots down there that they cannot leave because of the slope of that ground. Is there a chance that the road and bridge could excavate and move some material from basically north of the hangars back to the south a little bit to fill those in? Versus us having to hire somebody to haul material in there. I'll pull that up on a map if you
It's north and east. And there's a berm there. We talked about it, the board did when I was out there. And then, I don't know, when you were out there last, we talked about plowing the road. And then, but what Tom's bringing up is a good one. We've had that discussion with the board is there is a hill that has a rise. And it would be fairly simple to get a loader out there training a guy to load trucks or whatever and dump some of that over there on those where the fill dirt's needed. Because it'll generate some income.
Yeah, we're not going to move it very far. That.
No,
Like,
I'll pull this map.
200
Let me
yards.
Get the parcels out of here so you can see it.
At most 200 yards.
So
Right
the
here.
general idea was, I'll turn it around, that anywhere there's some material, it's probably in this area, general area out in here, where there's some high material.
So here's
to
the
move
empty
it over
lots,
into
Gary,
here.
right here.
Those 3.
And this is where this high rise is right in through here. It's pretty high.
Or if we even had to come in here and excavate a borrow pit out on the south side of that road somewhere.
He's got the road graded in here to bring fill dirt in.
So, something to consider maybe, huh?
Well, I'm okay with it. If we're going to do it, right now is a good time to do it.
Yeah.
because of what I just mentioned,
Moisture
and it's helped us
Easy to
out
dig.
yeah.
as far as, our
It'll take 15 times
We
times 3 loads.
we're definitely getting some requests that we could lease those other 3 hangar spots if we had that up to grade. And I'm assuming kind of wheel pack it as we went.
And they're thinking about extending that taxi lane in the future sometimes.
Well, I'm okay with it. Like I say, if we're gonna do it though, I'd like to do it right now. So if I could meet with
Get with
somebody.
the board and I'll next board meeting.
Okay, get with Lynn.
He give you his.
Lynn and Brian Anderson. Well,
Okay.
Brian's the deputy.
Yeah, but if you Lynn's the chairman of that board, so if you contact him, then he'd get
Get
you
the right guys.
schedule up a meeting, and let me send you his contact information real quick. Anyway, I think our only other reasonable alternative is to hire somebody locally with a scraper, and I'm not sure
It's not
worth that.
Okay.
If it's something that
Again, there's no, whatever you can do, it will be better than nothing. I mean, it's a great, good thing. You fill that up pretty quick, I think.
Do you know Lynn Legree? Okay.
Gary's out there and you walked it before. And just,
Yeah, and what you'd mentioned before, having people bring in field what we talked about before, that'd take probably years.
Yeah, nothing's happened.
So nobody's done it. We had 3 loads dropped, and I dropped them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have, sir. Anything else, gentlemen?
I think the reports were clear and concise.
Pardon?
I didn't see your reports that you gave us. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I was going to mention to you, I opened it up in-house, Roger's position for applications. I put a deadline of Monday on it, and gave him a couple weeks to, I generated a application packet, and give him a job description and whatnot. But anyway, there was only 2 individuals that picked them up. They filled them out, got them turned back in, so I've got 2 applicants within, so.
It was in the newspaper, you said?
I'm sorry, no. No, I didn't put it in the newspaper. I just advertised, or didn't even advertise. I just let the guys know and at the road and bridge department.
So if neither one of those applicants are satisfactory to you, I'm assuming, then we go outside.
And they both would be okay.
So you don't anticipate having to go outside to look for that hire. And you're going to deal with that.
Would you folks like to interview these 2? Or do you feel like it's necessary for you to conduct a brief interview with them, or?
I don't believe I think it's necessary.
I don't
think
either.
that's.
And I'm comfortable, like I say, with both of them.
Well, you're the boss.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I view this as it's really not our hire; it's a supervisor's hire. I mean, planning and zoning handled that recently, anyway. So I would think you'd be well within your parameters to deal with that.
Okay.
Would appreciate a follow-up informational for us so we know what's going on, but
Sure.
guess I can always call you and ask you if I want to know too. Can I? All right.
Works both ways.
Thank you.
I would just like to thank Gary and his crew. So on that Connex project that we did over there.
Yes.
So Gary and his guys were integral parts in, leveling up that space and moving containers and getting them. I mean, because we needed them in a pretty specific area, and Gary did a bunch of welding. And yesterday he finished up some stuff we needed done and put in an extra cage inside of there for securing some drugs and stuff. And so, just all the work that they helped us with, Gary, I really appreciate you guys' help and willingness to do that. Thank you.
You're sure
Yeah,
welcome.
good. Yeah, thank you for
Thank
doing
you,
that.
Send him a
Gary.
bill for it, Gary.
So you've pretty well wrapped that up, that project? Good. Thanks, Gary, appreciate it. Okay.
Oh boy, the highlight of the morning's coming in.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm glad I'm the
You wanna
highlight of
stay for it?
somebody's
You
morning.
wanna stay for it?
I'm the highlight of
I'd
somebody's
rather
morning.
have my finger in a vine.
Oh, yeah, that's what I think too.
This is much better than having
I
finger
don't
in a
know.
vine.
It's been quite a morning for us, and we're like,
Has
what
it
the heck?
already?
Yeah, it's just been crazy in there.
Wow.
Crazy in there, but whatever. That's how that goes.
Let's see, I'm behind here. Let me pull up your documentation.
Bless you.
Relations.
Laura, I just want you to know that you're the highlight of my everyday.
Well, I know that, Cal, but thanks for
Gosh, this is
reinforcing
sweet.
that.
She just wanted to get
I know. She's yeah,
She wanted
yeah.
that on public record.
She was, yeah.
It's because their doors are facing each
She,
other.
yeah.
They duke it out every morning.
Every day.
Every day.
Right.
In the hall. We meet in the hall. We try to take it out of the office.
Yes, right. Get out
We meet
now.
in the hall.
Yep. So you're good?
I am good. I am good.
We've got a little business to conduct with you today, but we'll get to that when it's appropriate.
We can do it whenever.
We'll do it at the end. Let's go through your report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah, you have the first page?
Yep.
You got
Yes.
this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure do.
So, I mean, we're doing okay. I've been a little worried about the admin because we're on the road so much, and but we're hanging in there. So hopefully we're going to be okay.
You want a vehicle or no?
Oh yes,
Okay, I'll take care of
oh yes, because that was one of the things I was going to talk to you about because you were talking about tires and stuff. Because we were talking about that the other day. If we could just get one, that would be very helpful.
it. Okay, I think we can
Yeah.
make that happen.
Okay. The other day we had Tish going to the Springs. We had Fonda on the same day. Fonda was going to Canyon, and Stacy stayed here to do visits. So it's just crazy.
And I'm convinced it will save the county money.
Yeah,
Not a lot because we're on a
Yeah.
reimbursement schedule.
yeah,
Still,
but it's still going to do that.
yeah.
Yeah. So
It'll
yes,
save the state some money, actually.
yeah. So yes, whenever we can get it,
Okay.
sooner the better. It would be
I will
awesome.
move forward with that.
Okay, okay. So do you have any questions about the first page
Nope.
or anything? Okay.
Nope.
Nope. And then the next one's just the old age pension, and since that one's easy since we don't put any funds for that one in. And LEAP, we're just starting, so you're not gonna see anything there. The first one won't start until November. We won't have the first payment until November, the end of November. But we have certainly been getting LEAP applications in.
No,
That's
this
for sure.
leap
Yeah?
year of 2018, 2019.
Oh, that's not right. No, it is. Well, no, that's
Should
not
be
right.
20,
That should be.
19.
You know, my computer crashed,
Oh,
and 9 days, and I didn't have a computer, and they brought me a new one, and it has done weird things
So is it
into
the
my
title
reports.
that's wrong, or is
Yeah,
the date
no,
that's
it's
wrong?
it's the title is
well,
wrong. It
actually,
shouldn't
it
be
may
that.
not be because it goes from November
Oh, well, yeah, that is-
18 and then rolls up to January 19, right?
Yeah, but see the dates.
But we don't have anything. Did that
Well-
end in April of 19?
It does. It ends in April of 19,
Okay.
and then we.
won't start again until.
Yeah, see, it's not right.
It should be zeros on November.
Looks like
and
it's
eight-
all screwed.
and
It is.
December.
It is all. It went in. It messed with my Excel things. We're having to figure out because it went from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and we don't know if that's what's causing the problem. But it just.
Vernon does. It is.
Well, yeah.
It's not my computer, but I'd be happy to work.
Yeah.
Oh, really good, good. Because yeah, it is, and we'll be. I'm thinking it's okay, and then I'll come back in, and it's done some weird, funky thing with it. Oh no, I was looking at old age
Describing my
pension.
world.
No, I'm on leave.
No, LEAP is fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, LEAP is fine.
But we're in November of 19 now, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
my
but I'm
thought
going to
was-
change that.
Yeah, okay.
See, I'm showing you because it started. This is why,
Right.
but it's okay. It started in November of 18,
Right.
and then it goes through. So I will change that
Yeah.
because we don't have a new payment yet.
Right. So now.
So this is 18, 19.
Right.
So it starts
So
here
really now
actually.
it's 1920.
I will change that when we get our first payment.
Gotcha.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, no
But I'm still having problems with that computer. I just want you to know that.
I understand.
Yeah. It's just.
That's one of the weird ones that rolls over
It's,
into a weird calendar
it does. It does a weird thing on that. So I thought maybe that messed up with that, but no, I was looking at the wrong one anyhow. Okay, and then Medicaid transportation, we're fine, and that's a pass-through, and the dates are right on that one, so we're good. And community service block grant, and I should get more money in January, hopefully, but we're doing okay. I've gotten more applications recently on that program too.
Is more a lot?
More, well, see, like,
'Cause it's,
yeah, if you look, like in September, I didn't have any. October, I think I had one, and this month I've already had 2 or 3. So it just fluctuates. So I don't, it just depends.
not special this year.
No. And then energy outreach, yeah, we're okay on that. And I just got my new funding, so I'm gonna, but I didn't get it, it didn't start, so I'm gonna fix that too. Next month that will change too, because that's another one that starts in the middle. It starts, yeah, so it messes with us there. We can't.
OC Energy
Energy Outreach, Colorado.
Oh, it is Colorado. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Energy Outreach Grant, EOC. No, what is, yeah, Energy Outreach Colorado. I was right.
So I bring you
Energy
my
Outreach
latest
Colorado Grant. Yeah,
propane bill, and you can
sure,
reimburse me for that.
sure.
Hand you the form and fill it out.
No,
and click it, and then she'll say you can't have it.
we tried. We don't reimburse. What we try to do is they don't. If they need propane and they don't have the funds, then we will give them some propane.
Gotcha.
But because it's you, I'll reimburse. Not really. You're not going to get reimbursed for anything. I'm just saying. Then here's yeah, kind of like Kelly, This is yeah.
Wow.
Here's our food assistance. And we see in the summer months and stuff it goes down, but we're going to be seeing it come up. And I think that's one reason we had so many LEAP applications right away is because we had that cold snap. So everybody came.
That's right, it got pretty cold.
It got cold, so we've had people in.
And that, it's a little hard to tell here, but that food assistance chart, this really is the number of households, right?
Yes.
That's not right.
No,
That
it should be
here.
over here.
And this must be months? Or is there some categories? I don't quite see. We can't read.
No, it cuts that off. When I print it, it cuts it off.
I just never have understood.
Oh,
I
I
get
see
the
what
number
you're
of households on the left, on the,
Yeah.
on
Height of the
the
block is the
x-axis,
number.
or the y-axis. but
Well,
the
and if you look
x-axis.
down at the next one, that shows the dollars and it's got the months underneath it.
Right. So
But this
I'm
one's got the
guessing-
chart over here.
I'm
But you're
guessing
right.
those are months on the bottom.
These here, I don't know.
Well, yeah,
Why would
those
they
are
be color
months.
coded?
Yeah, it's months. It's months on the
That
bottom.
should be
that
labeled
would be
month.
That should be months on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
You sure?
Well, no, I'm not.
Oh, well,
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What's SNAP?
Oh God, now you're gonna ask. Supplementary Nutritional Assistance Program.
It's food stamps.
It's the food benefit.
Oh,
Oh,
never knew
well.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I just make it up as I go. No,
Good.
it is what it is. Years ago, when I was at a training, they had all these acronyms, and you had to go down and you could see how many you could answer. And being generalists like we are here, we had it over on some of the big counties because they don't do all of these programs, and we were going,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
And that snaps on card, debit card.
goes on the debit card.
Yeah.
Everything goes in cash, everything goes on the debit card now. And then our TFAB
Good.
that's that. So we'll be doing the distribution the 20th of this month for TFAB. And we stay about the same as far as the number of households go.
Good.
Okay. And then you got the MOU,
We did.
and it's just standard and
Yeah, well, I don't think it's so standard. There's some weirdness in there. for
well,
me.
there's a lot of weirdness in. No, hey, for us, it's great because we
No,
don't.
I mean, we couldn't, that'd be a royal pain if we had to do it.
Oh yes,
So,
royal
I think
pain.
I kind of got I went, holy cow. They go through the first couple pages, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden they just drop a bomb on trails.
Oh, where are you at?
Page 2 at the bottom. It's the only place in the whole document. I mean, they don't.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's the name of their.
Trails is our system that we use to track our child welfare cases, and it's just called Trails. And somebody said, "Why do they call it Trails?" I really don't know. That's just it's a trail of when the kid comes into placement and we track them. It's like a trail for them.
Find them,
Yeah, and so that's why they call it Trails.
And then the fee per report is going up, and we pay that. But do we get? Is that a pass through?
Well, if you somewhere in here it tells you that we don't have to pay.
90 days to.
Well, it was something about we don't pay unless there's more than so many reports.
Let me see where that.
See, the projected number was 20. I thought it said less than so many reports, and then after that we start to pay. But if
Yeah, I think you're right.
yeah, it had to reach a certain amount, and then we paid. And we haven't paid so far. Okay.
Oh, 60. No.
Where is that? Yeah. Because I read it
I
too.
know they're going to bill us on a 90-day deal, but I can't even find that now.
Oh, Custer County has allocated 48 free child welfare calls. Page 1, right at the bottom, rate for service.
Oh yeah, 48.
48.
Which you probably would never go over that.
Yeah, we haven't gone over that. Which are subtracted from the total projected reports. So we have not.
Right.
So yeah, we haven't.
So after that reported fee would kick in.
That reported fee would kick in.
Right. Okay.
And we haven't gone over our reported. We haven't done that yet.
So do you have regular meetings with Powers? Do anybody care?
No, we don't have regular meetings.
Coordinate anything?
No.
Shake hands?
No.
How come it is Powers? Why?
I don't know. When they set up the hotline, they set it up in Powers County. I don't know why they did that. And that was the state hotline, and then they could call into the county
Pretty far
hotline.
away.
I don't know why they came up with Powers. But they weren't getting as many hotline calls as they thought, so they turned it over to counties and small counties. If you want to use it all the time, you can, and that's when they came up with this
Somebody way
form.
back when cut a deal with Powers.
Something.
With us.
Yeah, with statewide, yeah. And then a bunch of us small counties jumped on, so we didn't have to have somebody in here all the time to handle those hotline calls that you may not get. And so, yeah, we all jumped on that, and so.
We dropped the ball here a little bit, but I think we'll press on anyway, and we'll talk to our admin assistant about this. We should have had possible pending action here too. I'm going to move that we approve the MOU with Hotline County Connection Center.
I'll say.
Been moving and seconded to approve the Hotline County Connection Center MOU. Discussion?
Was there a deadline on
No, they just said get it back to him.
it? And who approves it for them?
Ann Williams.
Ann Williams, who was a hotline person.
She's a hotline.
For hours. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries.
And then after everybody signs it, they'll send us one that's with everybody's signature on it.
Right.
Good.
Powers Lamar.
Yeah. When that first came about, we had a guy come up and talk to us about help us set up the hotline. And I'm not sure he's still there or not. But anyhow, and then he talked to us about hooking up with Powers, and so. But this guy, the manager now, I don't know who he is. He's somebody new.
But there's several other counties that are
Oh yeah, yeah.
all of south.
A lot of the small counties have done that. I think almost every small county has done that. They just because it's just easier.
All right, very good.
This And they said that you'd already signed up for, or not signed up, but RSVP'd for that.
I did, yes, ma'am.
What's that?
I just got that yesterday. So
It's a launch meeting, not a lunch meeting.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't type that. That had nothing to do with my computer this time, okay?
Pasta and salad.
But I'll probably go too because they've got a concern about daycare services for Custer and Fremont, but I don't know.
Time 5:30 to 8.
5:30 to 8.
If you want to travel together, we can make that.
Yeah,
arrangement.
I was going to talk to you about that. It was silly for both of us to drive.
Yeah. I was planning to leave there and go straight to Vegas if you want to do that.
That'd be fine. That'd be great. If not, bring your own car, right?
That's right, yeah. That's exactly right. So.
Yeah, and I just got that yesterday, and they had said in there that Tom had already RSVP'd, and I'm like, well, this is the first time I've even seen it, so okay. So I'll get back to them on that.
Yep. Okay, very good.
Okay.
Anything else?
What about our
Waiting on the door.
Okay, still
Yeah,
waiting on.
As soon as it comes in, then I'll know we can move.
Okay, so we don't, because we're talking about doing it this weekend, but we don't know.
No.
Absolutely not. Okay, perfect. Okay.
No, and once we get the door, I will let you know, and then you'll have adequate time to do your stuff.
Okay,
And
perfect.
really, it would almost be you telling me when, and then I'll.
Okay, that's all I needed to know, because we were talking, because it was a 3-day weekend, but the door hasn't come in, so.
No.
That's all.
3-day weekend?
Yeah, it's Veterans Day.
Well, we're not going to go to work again this Friday.
No,
Or
Monday.
You could take Friday off if you want to.
You can come if you want, Tom.
It irritates me that we don't get to come to work all the time.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
You with me or not?
I come to work all the time, so I don't know what to tell you on that. I'm going to be here on Monday because I got stupid commodity. Oh, you're going to hear me say that. I have commodities coming in, so I have to wait for commodities to come in.
Well, I'll come by and commiserate with you.
Oh, it's okay, but I'm going to be here Monday for a while because I have to get commodities when they
We
come.
will, yeah. I'll
Now,
let
where'd
you know.
my signed MOU
You
go?
got it.
Oh, yeah, it's right there. Okay. So, yes, okay, I just want to
Get
make
out of here.
Okay, I'll.
Take your signed
And
MOU.
yes. And Kelly, do you need a copy of my signed MOU? Okay, well, if you're nice to
When
me.
you get it all back, right?
Oh,
With
yeah,
all
when I
the
get it, and if
signatures
she's nice
there.
to me, I'll get her a
I'm
copy.
sure she'll be nice to you.
Probably not.
Always nice to you.
And good morning, sir. You're welcome. I have a quick comment to the back, but you're.
A couple of them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just curious.
Yep.
I'm not.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Good morning.
So, gentlemen, by consent, I would like to ask our administrative assistant if we can take this possible pending action item statement and move it up following the semicolon after staff reports, that it applies to all of them, because we just voted on something that was not on the agenda. So I'm thinking instead of putting it by each one, we put it up there, all staff reports may have.
You want general categories, what you're saying?
Yeah, what do you think about that? Or staff reports may bring pending action items or something. I don't know how we'd do that, but they may not always tell Kara either. So I'd just like to get us a little blanket coverage there.
They're supposed to.
Supposed to. We told them to.
If you did that, how would the public know that
What's
they have an
special?
issue they might want to discuss or not discuss?
They'd have to come.
And usually you ought to put down what the pending action
This
might
was
be.
as much, I was speaking, this is as much an administrative item as it was. I mean, so I don't have a problem signing an administrative item. But, I don't know,
What if she come in with a lease to lease a new car?
and that's my point exactly. That would
It's
be
not always going to be
an administrative.
something as mundane as this. So I just think we'd be a little better off getting a blanket statement up there rather than doing what we just did, which I'm not real thrilled about.
Well, but Tom, sometimes a new car thing isn't an emergency, so it can be put on an agenda. And usually, if they got it coming in, something like that, they should put down what your action item
I
might
agree,
be.
they should.
Otherwise, the right public guys can't get here.
And we've indicated to them that they need to let Kara know if it's going to be something with an action item. But I'm sure Laura didn't think signing an MOU that we've signed year in and year out.
But we didn't need to sign it today either.
But would that be your biggest concern, that how would people know?
Yes. I think for true transparency, if someone has an action item and it's not on the agenda as an action item, we do postpone it.
And if we do that publicly, they'll stop not remembering to do it. You know, if we say, well, we're not going to consider it.
Well, I agree with you, Bill, but the problem is sometimes people don't realize it's an action item. I mean, signing a little MOU, is that really an action item? And I could understand Miss Laura's thinking, oh, probably not, you know, when we think it might be. So this is a quandary.
Maybe we need to change the wording to, because maybe people don't get pending action. Possible vote by commissioners. I don't know. I mean, that's what a pending action is, for crying out loud.
So maybe we need to send a note to the direct reports to us, saying that if there's something that's going to be signed or there will be a vote to accept, you must notify.
Which we've done that, but you're saying maybe we need to.
Keep reminding them.
And I think we need, I'm not real comfortable just blanketing.
Okay.
We're going to vote on an item without public having knowledge that there could be an issue to discuss.
Could be something.
You know, and Commissioner Canda's right, we can always postpone, well, we have the right to postpone it. It may not be to the benefit of our staff to postpone something just because we didn't have it down as a pending action item on our agenda, that's all. But I can only kick a horse so far and so fast, so we'll continue to have this discussion. I don't want to put the onus on Kara to say before our meetings every staff report, you got to call all these people and remind them. It does become incumbent upon them to do it. So we'll just see.
But who brings it in for the agenda item in this case?
Well,
Does the VSO have a possible pending action? Flag it. Who flagged that? Did John do that to tell her, or
No, those were ones that they had said, God said to just.
because that
put it
has
on there.
that always has the one we always sign.
Right.
So it is. I don't think
if we took it one step further, we have the SO. That one does say possible pending action because we approve his report on a monthly basis.
Exactly, and that's why it's on there.
And that's exactly appropriate.
Right. But for these others, not just today but tomorrow as well, if it's not something we know that we regularly do, case in point sitting in front of us, maybe he had something today he wanted us to sign to get it, you know. So.
But I don't think it's hard for Karen to. We have a stock recipe here. It's not hard for us to say, hey, Vern, you got something you want him to sign, and we'll put it on here.
Okay. And if I do that, I will make certain that I notify you. Because I understand that you need to be front loaded about what's going on.
Oh, I'm picking on you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
No, and I just, I'm just not sure that it's Kara's responsibility or this office's responsibility to call every staff member and ask them, do you have
She's our
something
admin. We can make it so it's hard.
I think it's the staff's responsibility to say, good chance I need you guys to vote on this, or tell Kara that. But we can have a conversation too today and tomorrow. We just missed it with Laura, but good. Okay, let's move on.
Move on there,
So-
Mr. IT.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you.
Good.
I'm well.
Good.
It's been a eventful but fairly regular month. I've been training Alex, my new assistant, to be able to fulfill all the duties, and he's doing very well.
Yeah, I met him, and
he is just snapping it up like crazy. It was great. We have worked on, I realized I didn't get it down here. We've worked on that fire project that for the ISO rating to find all the residences within 5 mile radius of each fire station and that has gone incredibly well.
Good.
He just snapped right to it, and it's gone well. So it's been exciting.
Now you do have that on your agenda, though, right? I mean, on your report.
You know, I do not. I didn't actually get that on the report.
5 Mile Drive map.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That's right.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom. Sorry.
So I got a question about that. It was
What's
brought
that?
to me, so I'll pass it on to you. Who's paying for that mapping? Is the county or is the fire?
County's paying for it.
Okay.
Right.
Should we be?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. I think we shouldn't.
That's why I brought it to the attention.
Yeah.
I didn't just take it on as a project in the beginning, was to talk about that. Okay.
Yeah, no, I almost called you and I thought, well, we'll have a chance to discuss it with you this morning, so I thought rather than have to talk about it to me on the phone at 8:30 and again here at 10:30. So, Fires asked you to develop these maps locating their cisterns and this 5 mile radius.
Right. The cistern was actually has been on an ongoing project.
Okay.
Chuck started that about 6 years ago. We've gotten rid of the cisterns that weren't there anymore. We've inputted the data for the new cisterns and created an actual map and directions to each, so fire can go to each cistern located in the county pretty easily. That's the cistern system. The 5 Mile Drive map, that was the project wherein we needed it's taken about 30 hours. We've reached the culmination point, just like I said last month. We've mapped all the driving distances along each road from each fire station for 5 miles out, found every residence and parcel and address within that driving distance, and then mapped it throughout the county. And we have about 65% coverage with the new 2 proposed fire stations that are going in. That will raise their ISO rating. I apologize, last time I had the wrong nomenclature. The ISO rating, and it will actually in the long term lower fire insurance premiums, because people will be able to say, look, they can point to the map and say, I am within the 5 mile radius of the fire station. So, yes, sir.
If the commissioners chose to bill your hours for working on this type of project, would you be willing to come up with what you feel on an hourly basis?
Okay.
So we can estimate how many hours we're talking about, and your office, and we would approve this.
Okay.
How much money per hour IT is going to charge outside agencies?
Can I say something?
Sure.
You guys already decided on this.
We did. What did we decide?
Was that a month ago or 2 months ago?
About 2 months ago.
When Kit was here and you guys all talked about it, and you decided if he had the time to do it, to just let him do it.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about this particular one. This is already done deal. I'm just thinking about, should we have a policy for the future if, I don't know, an outside taxing district comes to IT and says, would you help me? It's certainly in our county's best interest to say yes, but if they're a separate taxing district, they really ought to be reimbursed in the county. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I remember us doing that. I kind of got confused on what that was versus what this was.
Okay.
I hadn't even thought about that, if it's one and the same. If it is, then I believe Kelly's correct.
I'm open to whatever is required of me. Part of my job description as IT for the county is the support of the CES entities. Some of the community emergency services entities are part of the county. Some of them are in the county, and some of them are entities that aren't part of the county. And so when we have a fire, we do bill, let's say, Forest Service for maps that I've created for fighting a fire on Forest Service land.
Determines what that invoice would be, how much per map? I mean, how do...
There's a billing guideline outlined by statutes. OEM has them. We basically bill for a certain amount of hours, and we've given them hours, and we've given them cost of materials, that type of thing. But there's also the fact that they do fight fires that aren't in the county yet, but could get there. So where do we? I think that this is a larger discussion that we need to see. We need to decide how we're going to be handling things. I created maps for the fire. I create maps for, because of being GIS, I have the data that nobody else has. Right. I create maps for different entities that need to know distances and residences and whatnot. So I don't know how we define that yet, and I think that's part of a larger conversation that we should have.
Yeah, I would agree with you. My concern was, are you doing stuff for outside entities and we're not getting paid for it? That was my concern.
I understand. I think we need to create a policy that defines those stages. Right. Like I said, part of my job description and the IT department is to support the emergency services. So I don't know where we...
Yeah,
I don't have the
emergency services, or is it to support county emergency services? I don't know. Again, we've talked about it almost every meeting for the last 3 or 4 meetings. Policies and procedures.
I've thought about it a little bit, and to me, it's sort of in the beginning there was the country, and in the beginning there were the counties, and the counties had you neck it down, and they started delegating responsibilities by the county government at the time. And so where do you draw the line? Do we charge the school to run buses on our county roads to maintain them? No, we maintain them for that district. The hospital district, we maintain the roads for them. Or other things you can come up with in this service, sort of like this. It seems to me it's a county service to allow our county, and we have those responsibilities. We delegated the ambulance, for example, to the hospital district, but we didn't. And of course, that was for future discussion. We didn't say it was just part of the district of county. It was for all the county. So you can delegate that. So I think it's a policy thing, and it's probably been implied because in the beginning we are a county we start with, and then they separated it into separate ways to handle it more efficiently. So we can talk about it.
Yeah, I've asked, just did it the other day, asked Vern to print up a map. It was for county business. If any entity, I don't care who it is, library, doesn't matter, if they come to you and say, hey, I need a map about this. Okay, here's our fee schedule for maps. Or I need this data. Well, I'm not employed by the hospital district, so I'm going to have to charge you for that. That's where I'm headed. It doesn't matter to me what entity it is.
Okay.
The library district wanted a map of all the books in the county. Well, guess what? We don't do that. You're going to have to pay for that.
That's right. That would be outside of my scope of practice there.
Or if it wasn't, we'd have to budget for it. Right. That would be a decision that we would have to.
So right now, in that regard, when an entity that is outside of the county comes to me for a map, generally we charge them a set fee, unless it's emergency services.
What's your definition?
What's that?
How do you determine what that fee is?
Cost plus a certain. So for instance, a map. Oh, we don't have any up here. So for instance, a map of that size, I would probably charge $20.
Where did you come up with that number?
It's what has been in place with IT. It's the.
Do you open a book and go, I don't know what size it is, but whatever size, 12 by 14. A 12 by 14 map is going to cost $80 or whatever. Or is this a number you collected here?
No, this is what the numbers that were handed to me by the previous director.
So you have them written down somewhere?
They're written down somewhere in planning and zoning, yes. I can go find them. Right. I don't know where they are, but I know they are.
I'm trying to say where I'm going with this. Okay. Please don't take this as anything. First of all, we as a county need to produce maps, or if you can help anybody in this county to help the county run better, I'm in favor of it. But if we have separate tax districts, they ought to pay a fee. And if they're going to pay a fee, then we ought to have a procedure. The
Okay.
procedure is, this is this amount. If it's hours of research, you're going to charge $50 an hour, whatever the
Okay.
number is. We ought to have a policy as to what that is. That's
All right.
all I'm going for.
And I completely agree with that, because it takes away the ambiguity from me, too.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to
Yeah,
have
and
to
you-
yell at
Well,
you.
wait a minute.
Not only have to have a fee schedule, you got to have who has to pay the fee, so that it's equitable, or nobody's gonna argue. What's an outside agency to it?
Right. If they're not under the county umbrella, they're an outside agency, correct?
If that's what we're going to define it as.
Yeah.
Like I said, in my job description, it says support CES too. So we need to define it, I think.
We're not
Yeah.
putting this
So,
on you.
okay.
This is our
All right.
job.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And supporting could be, yes, I'll do it. I'll support you with that, but it's going to cost you.
Okay.
That
See,
has to be
gotcha.
that.
Versus saying, no, we're not going to do that for you at all. That would be non-support. I mean, we're splitting hairs, but this is on us. That's right.
Then it comes back to the freedom of information. I get requests for information on a semi-regular basis. There's a certain amount of free information that has to be researched and disseminated. And interestingly, 90% of the time, the information comes in free. It comes in under the threshold. And Donna could tell you the threshold. I don't remember.
Entitled to charge, if it's a core request, you're entitled to charge for a reasonable cost for assembling the information that's requested.
If it is over a certain time period.
After an hour.
After an hour. 90% of this work is done in less than an hour.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty quickly.
Well, I,
mean,
just
even-
would like to
yeah.
see maybe us work on a policy. There's no reason for us to try to write a policy.
I can work on a policy and then present it to you next month if that's what you'd like to see. Just to see, there aren't a lot of policies in the IT department, but we can work on that.
Services away.
Okay, all right.
It's only right.
Okay,
Well, and I think because it's always been done, people would just expect it. Oh, I'll just call
that's right.
Vernon, he'll do it. Well, wait a minute. Maybe he won't do it.
Okay.
And can I make a
Yes, ma'am.
suggestion? So like on copies of maps, I think those prices always came from JD, because that's where really the maps started before
It's printed.
Chuck and I
Okay.
bought that map machine.
Oh, okay.
And that map machine is half mine. by the
Okay.
way.
All right, I'll remember that now.
And, but I think that on costs of maps and stuff like that, we all need to be in the same boat. Because
Okay.
you don't want to charge $20 for a map that I'm charging $10.
Exactly.
And some of my charges are by statute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then-
we need to follow.
all right.
Then we should all follow the
Yes.
statute if that's
Or priced per statute. This is our
This
price,
is our,
or
yeah.
by statute,
Exactly.
whichever.
That's
Some of those are
Okay.
set for the citizens to pay, so that's why they came up with
Just another
the interagency.
procedure in running a county business that's
Thank you for the
more
clarification.
government interference in personal lives.
Then what I propose is I will sit down with Kelly and I will sit down with JD and we'll figure out a set schedule for that and then create a policy.
We've gotten this far,
I'm
this
just
long,
concerned
get it done
we
in
need
good
to
time.
be equitable with
Okay.
everybody, and that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, and my opinion isn't have to be next month necessarily.
Okay.
I just think it's something we ought to deal with for
All
the
right.
next few months, whatever your time would allow. But thank you for that. So, okay, sorry, I digressed. Anything else on here you want to
Nothing.
jump on?
Nothing big. It's just moving forward with, having Alex has helped to move forward with some pretty significant projects. Put project research onto him, day-to-day stuff, and vice versa, and it's been really phenomenal. We're moving forward with some projects for the Sheriff's Department that have been a long time coming, so we're doing well. We're doing well.
Good.
Can I just say that
Yes, ma'am.
Alex has been good too? Because there's a lot of times you're not over there when we need you. And since you've had Alex, we call, is Vernon there? No. Do you need something? And he comes right over and does it.
Wow,
And so
good.
that's helped a lot.
That's good to know.
We're sending you an email.
Not that I'm gone a lot, it's just that I'm gone
No,
a
you're
lot.
just.
So,
He's just out.
Well, the airport has a great lounge up there, so. Oh, I haven't found that one yet.
So I'm sending you this email right now on,
Okay.
on the statewide internet portal
Okay.
authority that we
All right.
talked about the other day. I'm
Wonderful,
sorry,
thank
I
you.
just dropped the ball. And so we have been awarded a grant from them.
Okay.
As I mentioned, this whole live streaming thing went through them, so
Okay.
we're in their system. Because
Oh,
one of
nice.
the first questions is, you must have an agreement on file, and I'm sure that we
Okay.
do. So I'm going to send you that. Not that
All right.
I'm expecting you to write it. I would be willing to do that. But if you could say, oh yeah, let's do this, then,
Okay.
then let's move forward with that if we can.
Will do.
Because we did get a SIPA grant, and they sent out a notice of funding, so I talked with.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
make it clear that
Mm-hmm.
my concern was procedure, had nothing to do with, your office has always been open to help
Okay.
everybody who needs it,
Thank you.
and I appreciate that. Please don't take that as a negative against.
Well, I feel like this is a conversation that
Needs to take.
it's in the air and everyone needs to have it. So,
I just wanted to clarify
okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah,
This had nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
I'm concerned about county procedure.
gotcha,
conversation needs to be had, not everybody gets to be involved,
gotcha.
right?
Well, I'm just saying policies.
Yes.
A policy conversation
Yes,
seems to be in the air.
thank you.
So.
Yes, yeah, I thought you meant.
No.
All right, anything
Gotcha.
else, sir?
No, I believe that's
Thank
it.
you, buddy, appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir.
Yeah.
See you later, Vernon.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Big John.
Is the oh my gosh for me?
No, the oh my gosh was for other
sir. How are you?
stuff. Good morning, sir, how are you?
See you, John.
Next on our agenda is VSO report.
Vissel.
All right, gentlemen. It's been kind of an average month as far as office visits. I did do 14 home visits this month, mainly because of the snow.
Okay. Did we get this?
Yes.
It looks funky. It's a funky name.
Yeah, and I changed all the ones I had. I just do not have it, so I may not have uploaded it to my packet.
I think it's that. Is it that?
No, that's the agenda.
I may not have changed the name before
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm,
changed the name on mine too because it was a different name, but
let me just look real quick. Yeah, we get ours from Lori. It's got a weird number attached to it,
Yeah.
this and that. So,
Jay, what's the name of yours over there?
Well, I'm sorry, I changed it to Veterans Report.
yeah,
Because it
I don't
has
remember
some
what it
strange
was.
numbers or
It
whatever.
did.
I don't
It had like a
remember.
long number or
Right.
something.
yeah.
I'll try to remember to make sure that I put VSO report on it when I send it to Laura.
It makes it easy if you do that.
Probably you just have a template. You've just been.
You
Yeah.
have an extra copy there. with
Whatever
you or
it's-
not?
it gets-
This is not an extra, but that one's mine.
Okay, sorry. My mistake.
I got you.
just
Can
didn't
help
get
you
it.
look off of this one.
I just didn't get it uploaded.
Not a lot of.
Do you want a copy of it?
Yeah, I think I just found it.
Oh, did you
too,
find it?
so-
Okay. Do you have one, Jay?
Thank you. No, that's over the bridge.
So not a lot of new claims started, just 4. Two. What did I say? I did have 2 records that I had to get from National Archives, and then we did start 2 appeals for a couple of Vietnam veterans. The Vietnam veterans, specifically the Thailand veterans, are the biggest challenge getting those through to the VA. As far as Veterans Trust Funds, we have not done a distribution since mid-October. We will be doing one on Tuesday since Monday is Veterans Day. But we have had a bunch of requests for rental assistance, utilities, and a lot of people coming in for food. I do have a new freezer, and I also got a large donation of meat from Westcliff Meats, so that's going quite well. The Thanksgiving meal that we're doing, the 100 meals for the county, We're up to, as of Monday, we were up to $1,700 that we've raised for the $2,000 that we need. Delivery is scheduled for 22 November. It's basically just going to be a moving van in the school parking lot, and we will notify everybody that has filled out an application form. I've actually given application forms to the school. I'm going to give them to the sharing center on Friday, and then we've had other application forms sent out.
So they have to have filled out an application form, they can't just
Yes,
pull in off the street?
we're going to make sure that we're hoping to have about 20 extras, just to make sure that we have, something, for anybody that just kind of pops up. This being our first year, we're just kind of feeling it out to see how it goes. Of course, Veterans Day banquet at Alpine Lodge on Sunday. Veterans Day breakfast on Monday, we're kind of still up in the air on because the Saddle Club does not have water. But all of this has been will be advertised this week in the papers, and it is in honor of Bill Borges. And also,
give me a note on that, will you? I'll take it to his wife.
I've talked to Donna. I let her know. The only thing I haven't let her know is I did get Bill's DD-214 in the mail finally. So if you want, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'll take it up to him. How many breakfasts in the past have we done?
As far as Veterans Day breakfast, what did we serve last year?
Couple hundred?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
So it needs a pretty big room.
It does. And
That's what I'm going to approach
Yeah, that's
today.
what I was
because
gonna
I just
suggest.
found out.
Yeah.
So that one's out of my hands.
Probably be warmer than the Saddle Club too.
True, the Saddle Club's not real warm on early mornings. But that one's not on me. That one's American Legion on that one. So other than that, nothing in the works. We're gonna try to do Christmas baskets as well once we figure out what money we have left over after paying the $2,000. The VFW and the American Legion personnel have been going around and getting the donations from different businesses and things like that. So that is all on them. I'm just kind of trying to make sure everything is organized, and we're not going to have anybody show up with, hey, I'm supposed to get a meal and we don't have any meals. So other than that, gentlemen, that is all I have.
I'd go ahead and move that we approve the Veteran Services Office monthly report
Good.
for October 2019.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the VSO report. Discussion. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Office space. I'm assuming that's an expense. On the last page of your report,
Office space,
$198.
those are my electric and propane bills. I don't have the exact current one for this month, but that is about the average.
So we don't have a utilities line item on here.
No.
Okay, so you just put that in your office space expenses. I
Yes,
gotcha.
sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay. Oh, motion carries. Got a little premature in there on the old bang stick. Sorry.
And Bill, I'll drop that DD-214 off here.
Good. Yeah. If I'm not here, Carol will get it to me.
Can we take a minute before we
Yeah, let me get this taken care of here. Anything else, sir?
That is all I have, gentlemen.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you for coming in. Good to see you.
Thanks, John.
You need special glasses to look at that watch? I'm curious about it.
It's my Dick Tracy watch.
And
He's got one too.
I would take this opportunity to inform council that the little building project over in the VSO office is completed, correct?
Yes, it is. It is complete and is actually working well. I've had a couple of veterans that I've had to close both doors, and it is a good thing to have.
Good. Is the heat, airflow okay?
Yeah, everything's
Door shut
working. Yeah, everything's working well. Even when I close the door at night, there's no issues with temperature changes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I only bring that up because council's been adamant about projects not getting done.
That one is done, and my
I want to see you on
new
the ladder
sign
out
for the
there
building
doing
is
those
in the
lights.
works as well. So
The what?
the new sign for the building is in the works as well. So
Oh, good.
Ivan is working on that.
Looks terrific.
Yeah. So
Can I ask you a question?
yes, ma'am.
So somebody called yesterday or the day before about using the annex,
And they
and
called
we
me.
told them that, or I told them, I said you need to. It's still my understanding they can't use it during the day till after 4, and they need to put. I mean, is the calendar still up there? that
Calendar's
they
still
just
up.
come.
Yeah, calendar's still up, and it's probably good to just have them call me,
Okay.
and then they're going to pick up the key from the sheriff's office.
Oh, good. So the key's still up there. Okay, good. I just wanted
I
to
hope it is,
clarify that
otherwise
that
they're
was
gonna call
still
me
right.
and-
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me to come in and unlock the door.
Another
So,
policy issue. 'Cause there's nothing, I don't believe, written about that. All this verbal agreement stuff, so. Yeah, all right, sir, thank you, appreciate it. By consent, meeting will reconvene. Any unfinished items of business, gentlemen? I would be blown away if there were. New business. First item is consideration of the REACH agreement. Commissioner Prince.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I asked to put this on the agenda. Thinking we might have information back from REACH for the air ambulance service we're talking about. Since that information is not available at this point, I would move that we postpone that action or that item until the November 27th meeting.
All right.
CC meeting.
I will second your motion, sir. Been moved and seconded to postpone the REACH agreement item until November 27th BOCC meeting. Discussion?
So who's doing it? Who's building the agreement? You get your team?
Yeah, no, this is
Who's doing it?
totally separate
I
from
know,
the
I know.
ambulance. Tom has,
Yeah.
I can't speak for you, but Tom's been speaking with them, a way to get the agreement back from them, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him and kind of formalize that. I certainly didn't tell him what we had decided because we hadn't decided anything. Correct. I will pursue that with him again and tell him we're ready to move forward, maybe in a little more formal approach if that's. And my general thinking is asked him to write an agreement to include coverage for all the residents and anybody in our county at any given point in time, which that's kind of his wording.
Sort of picking up on the discussion we had when they spoke at the clinic.
Yeah.
Right.
Is REACH, does it stand for something? Should it be in all caps?
Yes, it is.
It's their name.
It is?
Yeah, REACH Air Ambulance.
Is it
But
in
it's,
caps?
it's like a,
All caps.
She says it's in caps.
Oh,
yeah, it's
thank
like
you.
a,
It is in all caps, that's their,
So REAC
Name of their
is in all
ambulance.
caps.
so it doesn't
I'm sorry, I
stand
didn't
for
know that.
something.
not that I'm aware of. It might,
not an
rural
acronym.
emergency air,
Probably started out like that.
But-
Who knows?
everything I've seen, those are capitalized letters, yes. That's the
Thank you.
name of their company. And they're a subsidiary of two other, they have different level. Global Medical Research, GMR, is the parent company for AMR. And GMR is also the parent company for REACH. But I will move forward with that if that's the group's pleasure. Any further discussion?
Let me just, if I may, I just want to clarify.
Okay.
The AMR portion of this has nothing to do with the REACH air
This is
ambulance
air
discussion.
ambulance.
I just want to make that very
Okay.
clear, because
Air ambulance.
there is discussion about ground ambulance that we are nowhere near a decision at this
Right.
point.
And to follow that vein, air ambulance could be fixed or rotary wing. They don't distinguish between the two. Any further discussion? Excuse me. Public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of postponement until 11:27, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Next item of business, consideration of subsidizing the EMS ambulance service to portions outside of the hospital district, correct? I think they all are eastern, but you have a rep here to speak to that, or I'll
Well,
turn the floor over to you.
You're certainly welcome to come join us, Ms. Washington, if you'd like to, please.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. Thank you for serving on that committee, actually.
Sat a long time waiting. Thank you. You gotta shake my hand.
Okay.
You can say hi to Kelly.
Hi, Callie. How are you? Great.
The floor is yours, Commissioner Prince.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Washington, please just jump in if I say something that we didn't agree with, because I want to portray what our group is going to make a recommendation. So what I'd like to do is start by making a motion. Let's go ahead.
So what we're going to hear here is from the joint committee.
No, sir. Hang on a second. Let me rethink that. Let me explain, and then we can decide whether it's a joint committee or not, because it's...
Okay.
Let me give a little bit of history. The county advisory group, exclusive of the hospital group, met to decide what do we think is the best way to approach ambulance service for outside the West Custer County Hospital District for the folks who weren't getting ambulance service. Now, we were all at the meeting when the West Hospital District voted and approved that they would continue to send ambulance service outside their district until January 20th of 2020. Our group discussed this at length, exclusive of the hospital district, and said that's not enough time if they cut it off on January 20th, 2020, just a couple months away. There is a strong potential that there would be no ambulance service for Custer County residents outside the hospital district. So our group came to a consensus that if we subsidized the West Custer County Hospital District for the amount of money they would have received had the mill levy been received, it's about $14,000 a year, would the hospital district continue to service the ambulance through the end of 2020 so that we'd have time to put a ballot initiative out for the folks at the eastern portion of the county who are not served right now. So our committee made a recommendation. We put it on paper. Then in a joint committee meeting between the hospital district personnel and our committee, we presented them with, here's what we're thinking, what do you think? And that was that Custer County would subsidize the non-mill levy area east of the hospital district so that we could continue ambulance service through the end of 2020, not the first month of 2020. So that was what we put out. We spoke with them about it. We gave them a form and said, this is what we're thinking. What do you think? We made it extremely clear to them that this is not a proposal. This is a discussion item because I had no authority to commit the county to anything other than discussions. They, at their last board meeting, took that and they said, if that's something you would do, we would continue to provide ambulance service through the end of 2020 if the county was willing to subsidize the ambulance service. They approved that at a board meeting. I made it very clear to them that this was a proposal from the BOCC, not a, let me rephrase that, it was my recommendation that I would be making to the BOCC that we adopt this through the end of 2020 or until we have some other solution, because we may have a solution sooner. That's why you'll see in a minute I broke it out into quarters, not into just an annual payment. They adopted it, so what our group said is we would like to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners that you subsidize, that we, the county, subsidize the ambulance service outside the West Custer County District for the rest of this year, and then on a quarterly basis for 2020, if in fact we need to go through all of 2020. So, was that clear, or do I need to make that?
You said till the rest of this year? I thought they were doing it until the 1st of January.
They are.
So it's not, we're not subsidizing anything the rest of this year.
No.
Right.
Well, what the recommendation was, that since the ambulance service was going to be going outside of their hospital district and not receiving the mill levy, that this is the recommendation from our group, the county would subsidize the 3 mills for the rest of this year, because they had given us a cutoff date earlier.
January.
No. Well, their drop dead date was January. That was the date they were going to stop if we don't have something in place. We felt, we being the committee, please jump in, Ms. Linda, we felt it was appropriate for the county, for the county's benefit, to pay them for the services for the rest of 2019, and then pay a quarterly fee for 2020 until such time as we could have a ballot initiative, or really until such time as we come up to a long-term solution. One of the complications that we're facing right now is that just the heart of the Rockies is melding with the hospital district. They're really not in a wonderful position to come up with some terrific long-term solution for ambulance. This buys us time, us being the county time, to allow ambulance service to make sure that if anybody in our county dials 911, we know that an ambulance is on its way. It may not be a good ambulance on its way because it's a long way, but at least that's what it's going to be. So if I may, Mr. Chairman, you asked me, tell me how you'd like me to proceed. I was thinking of just making a motion of what the board recommendation is, not the board, our advisory group's recommendation is. And then if there's a second, then we can open up for further discussion. Is that appropriate?
I don't think so, and I'll justify that. I would think, and I'll take the long route, this is exactly why I asked at the board meeting at the clinic, who in the hell was the chairman of this committee, right? They said, and?
You talking about Jenny?
No. The board director that sat on the end of the table said she was the chairman. Right. So, anyway, so I digress. I don't think it would be appropriate to start with a motion. I think we need to hear what your report is first.
Okay.
Then, if the board wants to pursue an action, then they could. But you're going to approve something we haven't even heard yet, right? That's what you were getting at.
I was going to make a move to approve what our group is asking the board to do, and then you can listen to the conversation and you can vote for it, against it, or modify it.
And had you not been privy to all of this as a commissioner, you probably wouldn't make that motion, right? Because you wouldn't know what it was. I don't know what it is, so you're asking me to vote on a report, to adopt a report that I haven't heard yet. That's my whole point, is we should hear it.
It's not a procedure. It's fine. I'm happy with that. That's why I was asking you.
Right, that's what I think. That we hear the report. If there's a motion coming out of that, then I'm good with that.
So this is what...
Time out a second. Let me say something too. I agree with you. And it's okay to bring things that we've never heard of. We have discussions and we debate, and we either approve or we don't. And if we don't know enough about it, then we don't approve it. But I have a different concern. You had a committee that was a group of people here that was under our county auspices. So, right? Hospital districts got theirs. They also have their thoughts, and I know that we probably think we have a good handle on what they're thinking. But it seems to me a way to resolve the bridge ought to involve them too, because they have a vested interest. It's more than just, I'll drive down there. Maybe they got some other ideas to do it. For example, I'm not so sure we need to pay them $3,500 for the services that they are going to send an ambulance and have already down the hardscrabble for the rest of this year. It just seems to me, and the other issue that I have, and we'll have to talk about this, if we can get everybody together, because there's hospital district money that's been accrued for that ambulance service, and we have this darn 1989 agreement that says they're accountable for it, regardless, and we know that they have a budget that's pretty big to handle the emergency services, that is almost big enough to handle the new proposed costs of a standalone ambulance thing that we've been discussing. So I worry about, money's not a lot. It's $14,000 for the year, and the quarterly, that's the $3,500. But is it appropriate? And so if we'd had them joining in and coming to us with a proposal that says, we'll share this. We got some money that we've raised already, and why do we have to foot the whole bill? It is sort of an issue. But I'm just raising that as an example. They could have gotten together and maybe have helped.
We've met multiple times.
Which your comments should be framed in discussion of the proposal, I'm assuming, right?
That I haven't made yet.
That's right.
Right.
And so I would say let's listen to your proposal. If there's a motion forthcoming from that, I know the agenda says consideration
We're going to consider
subsidizing EMS. Really, it should have said consideration of the joint EMS committee's recommendations.
That was my issue.
Because I'm still struggling to get my mind wrapped around why the whole group is not here giving us their recommendation.
Because we did it separately. They made their recommendation, we discussed, we worked through this, their board approved it, and I was coming to my board to approve it. I don't think we needed to have them sitting here while I read this to you and tell you what we want to do.
What?
If you don't want to do it, that's fine.
Okay, so they've approved us paying for it, is what they said.
They
I would approve that too.
The joint committee's recommendation to their hospital board and to the BOCC. They approved it. I'm here to ask if you want to approve it or not approve it. That's kind of where
So if it is a joint recommendation, then.
Yeah, it's a joint recommendation.
Please jump in if I'm saying something
So
wrong.
it is a joint recommendation, and we are just an advisory group. It's not a committee. It's,
Right.
it's just this group of citizens that are telling Jay what we think and just having discussion on
Should be
it.
telling the commissioners what we think.
Well, that's, yes, so we're going to Jay, and then Jay is sharing it.
Well, that's why they're here
For
to
the
tell us.
group.
Okay.
I happen to also be a voting member of the Board of County Commissioners.
Yeah, which I struggle with that, but,
I know you do.
yeah. So, let's hear the
I'm not-
report then. How about that? Is that fair?
Fine. Here's what the committee of the ambulance, the hospital board, and the advisory from the Wetmore folks and the people who are on it. Okay, what we'd like to do, what we're suggesting is out of the general fund, paying $4,000 to the West Custer County Hospital District for ambulance service outside the district for the remainder of 2019. Plus, we would like to recommend that the general fund pay to the hospital board $3,500 a quarter in 2020 to subsidize the ambulance service for which they are not being paid through the bill levy. The reason that it was important to go through the end of it was simple to give us time to come up with a permanent solution.
Okay. Question real quick for clarification. Just a point of clarification. So, $3,500 a quarter for all 4 quarters in 2020.
Right, that's 14 pounds.
Even after the election, if there was something on the ballot, we would continue to pay because wouldn't go into effect until January.
Because it wouldn't go into effect till January 1st if the vote passed. what I really hope, and the reason that our committee said let's do it quarterly as opposed to just giving $14,000 for the year of 2020 was because during this period, we hope to have a more permanent solution. Okay. One of those, I could go into great detail on that if you like. At this point, there's been multiple discussions about AMR coming in and taking over the ambulance service for the county. The hospital district is discussing amongst themselves forming an ambulance district, a taxing district just for the ambulance. I can tell you the personalities involved, because I've been through this a lot, that there is at least one director, it's only 5, one of them tremendous pushback on anything other than them continuing, them being the EMS service that we have right now, continuing as an EMS service, not changing. So there's a lot of discussions that need to take place. I felt I didn't want to push them into a corner at this point and say, tell us what it's going to be, or, you know, if we feel it's different, we'll just have to bat it out, however we do, because their plate is so full right now with Heart of the Rockies. I felt this would buy us time to do 2 things. First and foremost, have ambulance service for the non-hospital district personnel, people outside the hospital district. Absolutely paramount, that cannot go away. And if they say they're not sending an ambulance after January 20th, that is totally unacceptable in my personal opinion, and then you guys can tell me if you don't want to do that. So this allows us time to come up with a more permanent solution. Nothing's permanent in this world. A more permanent solution on what we're going to do long term with this. And the reason we did quarterly, so it's at the end of the first quarter we have a solution. We won't pay them the rest of it if that's part of it. So that's why we did it.
Did you get the feeling from them that they thought the same thing, that buying time would get them a better opportunity to get them a better plan?
Absolutely.
Or are they stuck
Nobody,
on it?
because their plate is so full, they really didn't want to get down to the nitty-gritty and work through the details at this moment. And I probably agree with that. And they've got enough going on at the moment.
And there'll be less next quarter for some reason.
So
what makes it less? What's going to free them up?
Well, my feeling is, and this may be mine, I'm not sure it's a committee, a group decision. Once the stress of the initial melding of Heart of the Rockies, they can take a breather. Once that's kind of in track on its way, then we can tackle what are we going to do about ambulance service outside the hospital district.
Does melding get them a different authority? Somebody else has to make a decision
actually, it gives them zero authority, because Heart of the Rockies said we are not going to pay, we're not going to be involved in the ambulance whatsoever anyway.
They're not having decision part of it either.
They will not be part of anything. Okay. This will be a decision.
They being
Heart of the Rockies. I'm sorry. Heart of the Rockies wants no part of ambulances, period. Stop right there. So the West, whatever remains of the West Custer County Hospital District is the one who will be answering the question as to what are we going to do about ambulance. Please jump in. I don't mean to take the whole spotlight here.
So no, one comment on it though is, that they are willing to provide the ambulance service, and it's not just for the people that live in that part of Wetmore. We've got to remember, it's, any of us that drive to anywhere else and we're going through that area. I mean, if I'm driving down there and have an accident, I expect an ambulance to come. So it's not just the people that live there. And this $14,000 that we're talking about is the mill levy amount if the people that lived there got taxed on it.
And they agree to do it on a first call basis no matter what.
That is correct.
Correct. So, and it's not as good a service as what we had. I mean, it's service. It's not as good of service, but it is service. I mean, it's much faster, when it was coming out of Florence, or if it comes out of Canyon City, or if it, comes anywhere else, it's faster than what we'll get, but at least we'll have an ambulance show up.
Can I ask a question? Did you consider what kind of pushback you might get from the other taxpayers in the county that are already paying the 8%?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Here's what our group felt. First of all, this has nothing to do with hospital mill levy. This is just a 3% ambulance mill levy. The people in Wetmore, and it's who I'm talking to, although it's not just Wetmore, are adamant that they do not want to be part of the West Custer County Hospital District for hospital services and be taxed for that. They'd much rather go to Pueblo and hospital or whatever. This is the ambulance, the 3% that's only earmarked for ambulance. And here's the way we have justified spending county money for the I'm going to use the word subsidizing. I know you don't like it, but that's what it is. It's subsidizing the 3% mill levy that they're not getting. We felt it was very similar to when Road and Bridge goes out and repairs on, pick a road, Vermont Road. And I don't live on, I haven't driven on in 20 years, but that's what we do as a county. We take care of other people that need to be taken care of. So we didn't feel it was, and up for debate of course, but we didn't feel it was double taxation. It was just taken care of out of the general fund, the county taking care of people within the county who need an ambulance service. That's kind of how we justified.
Well, and also the people that live on the east part that are outside of the district to be taxed never had that option to be taxed for it. So they're just stuck right now because it was an agreement that was with Florence for them to be able to get that, and they weren't in the tax thing. So it's not like, years ago they had the opportunity to be taxed and said no. That could be something, if this gets put on the ballot in November, they may say no, they don't want to be taxed. I mean, those are all things that we don't know the answers to. But at this point, the people in that part of the county, if the ambulance service doesn't continue, are being penalized for something that they never had a choice in.
So are we discussing this, or what are we going to do?
Yeah, I almost delved off into some debate, and then I thought, well, wait a minute, is that appropriate or not? So, technically, I suppose the chair would entertain a motion to this effect, knowing that most likely there's going to be a subsequent vote. If that's the desire of whoever makes a motion, that's fine. I mean, that's why we make motions, is to get them to a vote. Or we can, is that why we're here? I guess that's what I'm asking. Were you expecting a vote today about
Absolutely,
adopting
I'm
this
expecting
plan?
a vote
Okay,
today.
all right, very good.
Would you like me to move?
You certainly have that right, yes.
I move that the county take from general funds, from our general funds, of $4,000 and pay to the West Custer County Hospital District $4,000 for ambulance service through the end of 2019, and pay to them from the general fund, the West Custer County Hospital District, the sum of $3,500 a quarter until such time, well, no later than through the year 2020, but may stop paying the quarterly amount if a more current solution is made. That sound reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'll second it, just so we can talk.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the West Custer County Hospital District $4,000 for ambulance coverage through the end of 2019 and $3,500 per quarter for the year of 2020 unless a suitable solution has been reached prior to the end of 2020. Discussion.
If, in fact, this is what you approve, it would need to be done by means of an IGA between the two entities to spell out these terms and what the obligations are on both sides.
So would friendly amendment to yours then to through an IGA?
Sure.
And the second's fine with that. Okay. Discussion. I've got some. Never been comfortable with this entire process. I don't think we've done what we all agreed to do, but that's maybe neither here nor there. That may be
What is
just
that?
my misunderstanding that both entities were going to submit names to serve on a committee, and that committee was going to function. I don't think that's happened. I said in the board meeting when they voted that, and I said in this board meeting when we voted that. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what's happened is two committees met and functioned, then got together and decided what was going to be best. Maybe the result's the same. I have no idea about that. But that's one of my debate discussion items. Yeah. Another one is, where's the money going to come from? Have we talked with Donna? Is there money in the general fund for that? And then my other point of discussion mirrors, I think, where Commissioner Kander was going. Do we have any business paying them $4,000 for 2019 when we've already, the board voted, the clinic board voted to provide ambulance coverage through January 2020. So those are the three things on the surface that I would bring up. Plus, I guess my other big question of the committee, which I was hoping they would be sitting here making this recommendation to us, why aren't we voting on hiring AMR or Falk or anything else? And I guess I would answer that by saying apparently the committee thought this was the best option out of all of them.
No.
And I don't agree with that.
No. The committee does not think that this is the best final solution.
The best option right now.
For right now, yes, just because January 2020 is coming up really fast. Our advisory group actually thinks AMR would be the best solution.
Then why didn't you come to us with that recommendation? I don't understand that.
Because we do not feel that there's enough time to get AMR in place between now and January 2020.
And Scott Lynn must have told you that.
That is this, and that was a fair question that you were just asked, okay?
It wasn't a fair question?
No, it was not.
I thought she
because
was on the committee.
She did not go to AMR to discuss it with them. The committees discussed the potential of bringing AMR in here. We are not negotiating with AMR.
Okay.
Okay?
So you did discuss bringing AMR in.
Over and over and over and over again. There is a split on that decision. We, the county folks, we truly feel in our heart, beyond any other option, AMR is our best solution at this moment. The folks at the hospital group feel totally the opposite. And I don't even want to say the folks. The one stumbling block is one person, a director, who is absolutely adamantly against it. And we felt rather than force this issue at this point with a 2020 deadline looming ahead, this was not the fight we want to take on at this point. We were going to buy time to make this occur if that's what's going to happen. They feel, they being the hospital district, Lisa True, they feel they have the ultimate right to make whatever decision they want about ambulance. I asked our legal counsel previously, and he said, we've given them that right, we could take it back. That's the 1989 agreement, okay? This sounds to me like if we're both going to dig our heels in, obviously a judge is going to make this decision. It's not going to happen by January 20th. If January 20th comes and goes and they live by their deadline that we're not going to provide ambulance service there, I will not sit in this seat and say we're not going to send an ambulance to someone else at this hospital district who calls 911 and we say, we're sorry, or God forbid Linda or one of the people in this audience or anybody has a wreck on Hardscrabble and they go, hey, you're on your own, too bad.
Okay.
Okay, that's not going to fly.
Okay. Now it's my turn. I'm practicing a new Bill Kanda here. I'm not going to interrupt. I'm listening to you, and I've heard you repeat things over and over to a little bit. So, but I'll
take that as a slam.
No, it's not a slam.
Okay,
I'm saying no because I care about what you think, Jay. And the big thing that you just mentioned is the ultimate solution. I only want to address the interim. That's the point of this whole thing right now, in my view. And so I want to kind of take a look at it, and I want to repeat a couple things Tom said. First of all, this first quarter is an issue. And I don't know why it was $4,000 when a quarterly payment is $3,500, and we started this the 1st September, which is the first 1 quarter's worth of bills. I don't know how you guys came up with $4,000, if that were good. Secondly, I agree we don't need to pay that in the first place because they took it on as their job and they were going to give us that time anyway. So we don't have the money. And the second thing I was going to ask is where is the money? Tom asked that already. Coming from, and if we can come up with less than, if we're going to dip into the general fund, it would be nice to dip in for less. The money is as best we can. And thirdly is the hospital district has a dog in this fight. For an interim solution, they've got an ambulance budget that's huge. And they've got the old budget that they had as well as the $3 million levy that they added to it. And so my feeling is they can run it probably for the entire year without impact to their budget for other things. But I don't know that because Tom made a good point. That's the discussion that rather than, I know they got wrangled around AMR, but why couldn't AMR do an interim thing? Nobody talked to them about it. How hard would it have been for them to come in in the interim with some kind of a contract that would 14,000 cover it? I don't know. If it didn't, then it has to come from the ambulance budget that the EMS guys or the hospital district has, because we don't have it in our budget. We gave it to them to run for us for the year. So the whole big picture options for the interim, I think and I had the same impression. It was a joint committee in order to get both sides answered, because the county is responsible for the entire county from an ambulance point of view. Now we have a piece of it that's not there. We're obligated to do it, and I'm 100%. I'm not about to be going down there and then I have to pull out a card and decide whether I've already paid the tax, I get the ride or not. Which is the fifth point, is I do think we are, I paid for an ambulance service, and now I'm going to pay for Wetmore guys to have it as well, which they didn't. So, it's a quandary. It is sort of a double taxation thing. And I know the logic you used to come around that, I don't think, I can't remember exactly. We do county roads, but everybody in the county is already taxed to do the county roads, no matter what priority they put it in. It would have been different if everybody in the county had already been taxed for the ambulance service, and we're arguing about whether we had an agreement that we were saving money with Fremont, but we've all paid for the ambulance service. So anyway, I think time-wise, we've got. I empathize with their Heart of the Rockies issue, but who started that in the first place? It's not the problem we need to address. We need to address getting somebody real, and they've got a budget. It's not being affected by the Heart of the Rockies right now. Let's use together. And I might feel more comfortable if I felt that they had a bigger dog in this interim problem and sharing some of that money that they've already taxed their citizens for, right? So anyway, that's sort of a summary of how I feel about it. And so I'm a little uneasy with the way it is right now, and I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, a couple things. One, we do want to congratulate you because your
sitting here
new Bill Kanda has been noted, believe me. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know Commissioner Prince appreciates it. No problem. We may disagree and butt heads, but as long as we can honor each commissioner's opportunity to speak, I think we're still pretty solid ground. So thank you. I appreciate that. I don't like where we're going. I go back to this, if the committee was sitting here today, I would say, man, I would really like the committee to find out what other options there are, AMR being one of them. Unless something really drastically changes, will support AMR taking over our ambulance company. I haven't made a secret out of that. But as far as I can determine, that's not even been a consideration for the interim. Not for the long haul. I'm with Commissioner Canada. We're talking about the interim here, right? The long haul is a whole nother conversation. I was asked this question yesterday. Do you think Wetmore would accept $4,000 or $3,500 just to cover the non-hospital district? I said, I don't think so, but I don't know that. Well, has anybody asked them specifically? And I said, not that I'm aware of.
If I may, please. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Nope.
I asked council directly, can we in any way have them, can we bill them for the service, which is them paying it?
You're talking about them being the
Them
customer.
being outside the gospel district. And council was 100% correct when he said to me, that is the service, that is the business we're in, is service. You cannot, it's additional tax. I agree completely. That is not on the table at this point. Should we bill for the services outside the hospital district so the county can reimburse it? Council, please jump in if I'm saying this.
Well, I wasn't talking about taxing anybody. Either I didn't make myself clear or we're not on the same page.
Okay, we're not on the same
I'm talking about, I would ask that committee, did you go talk to Florence Fire and EMS about on an interim basis for $4,000 a month, would you cover Wetmore? Now, they've told us it wasn't a money issue. I get that all along. I'm just saying, I think that's an avenue that we should explore.
Right, we've got
AMR, would you cover I just hate to use Wetmore, the
eastern part of it.
anything outside of the hospital district, would you cover that for $4,000 a month or whatever? I get it that this committee is probably not in a negotiating realm, but I think it's incumbent upon them to look at all the alternatives. I don't know.
Or if, who would be, maybe they bring it to us and that's an option, then we have the authority to go negotiate, perhaps, to do that.
AMR said you would get 2 weeks worth of service for $14,000. I will tell you that because I asked that question, that was my answer.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. When at this last hospital board meeting, when they said, sure, we'll take that deal if you run it by your other board, did their whole hospital board vote on that?
Yes.
Yes.
And they voted unanimously?
Yes, they voted to accept that recommendation.
Okay. So
Commissioner Prince and I both said that.
Holdout person, and we all know who it is, but this holdout person that doesn't want to turn it over to AMR, that's the long-term picture. That's not the interim.
Correct. That's my understanding.
We are looking at, to reiterate, Bill, I'm saying it again, we're looking at a deadline of January 20th. We wanted to come up with a solution to take care of that so that these bigger questions that are looming out there that need to be and have to be answered, we have the time to work that through without, we could go right now and say, council, do we have the right to hire AMR? If council says yes, and we said, and I'm just saying if, and if we said, and if we did that, council, can we get the $3 million that they're getting for ambulance? And if council said yes, and you want to vote on AMR, that's fine. But that's not where we are at this point. And that was not the direction that our group and the joint group was working. We're working towards, give us time to work through, instead of rushing through a quick snap decision, give us time to work this through. Do I agree that AMR is probably the right way to go? Absolutely, I do. Is an ambulance district, a new ambulance district? Of course, that's a stupid idea in my opinion. okay? But there's personalities involved, and that's all I can tell you, and it could be worked through. And during the time between now and the end of 2020, we will have the conversation. We will determine who has the right to make this decision. They feel they do, we feel we do. That sounds to me like it's going to go to a judge to decide, and we'll have an issue. Counsel, please jump in if you feel I'm saying the wrong things here. Okay, so we don't have an answer to that. That is a sticking block that needs to be decided, because if it's just our decision, I would say, why are we even talking to them? Let's just make a decision and move on down the road. But that's not where we are at this point. Okay, so we took the approach, what are we going to do because there's a deadline of 2020?
Raise my hand.
Please do, thank you, sir, I'll shut up.
I don't want to be rushed into it either. And so my view is we've got to the 1st of January to actually vote, or the 31st of December to say, all right, we'll pay for the next 3 quarters. And I think we have time to go and have our committees come together and say, let's really focus on this interim problem. And come back to us. Maybe it's both boards as a joint meeting, but or if you want to come up with a joint conclusion and then present it separately to different boards, then that's okay maybe. Well, no, I don't know that we've gotten all the options covered. In my view, I don't want to pay the $4,000 for the rest of this year.
Okay, and I will interrupt, but I don't intentionally want to interrupt you, but I want to make a point of clarification. What you just said is exactly what they did. You may or may not agree with what they did.
Right.
That's where I'm at. They did what you just said. The 2 committees got together.
Right.
They made a recommendation to that board, now they're making it to our board. That is what they did.
Which we can
I'm clear on that.
Okay.
But,
anyway, to me, I think I do believe we got for the mid-month of November and we've got the end of November. If there's something that I'm missing, I want to make sure it's clear that we're not double taxing somebody when we shouldn't be, or that there's an opportunity. My real issue is, I think they can help pay for this and share the cost for that additional job. Why is it on our shoulders, period? Because they've got the budget for the ambulance, and they've got the full 3 mills, plus the original hospital district itself already had an ambulance budget in.
well, I think the perspective is why they won't pay for it is because it's outside of the hospital district. It's not a matter of budget, it's a matter of what they believe is their responsibility to cover.
Right now, it's a matter of contract between the county and the hospital district. They contract, that's the 1989 agreement.
That's right.
And I wanted to back up and challenge Commissioner Candle on a statement that he made. I'm not saying he made it intentionally, but you said that we have responsibility to provide ambulance service. I don't believe that. We have the authority. We gave up the responsibility. We're not responsible for ambulance coverage in this county.
I didn't mean it that way, Tom. I meant we do have if we have part of our county that's not covered, it is our responsibility because that's the charter that we had. Now, when we gave it up, in that 1989 agreement, I'm falling back to that, they said it included the whole county.
But by statute, counties don't have to do anything about,
Except we can, it says.
We may, but we're not by statute obligated to provide ambulance service.
Right, so we don't have to do it at all.
That's right, that's exactly right.
And we didn't have, when we agreed to all this, we did have ambulance service through the whole county by virtue of that 1989 contract.
Right. Or subsequent agreement with Florence to provide it. So we were covered.
Right, and that was how they did it for a long time.
Things changed.
And I was just trying to echo what Jay's saying. I care about the citizens of this county as much as all 3 of them, any one of us. And I wasn't, by the way, and I want to make clear, I wasn't slamming you, Jay. I was trying to, at the enhanced point, that's the point you kept making again and again, and it's a good one. We do care. Okay.
Further discussion?
As a citizen who would hate double taxation. I mean, you know me pretty well.
Well enough to agree with what you just said, yes, ma'am.
On the other hand, I want to be covered when I drive down that mountain.
Right.
And that has changed for us.
Right.
it's not just about people in the east part of the county. It's about us driving down that mountain during
Exactly.
the winter or during the summer or any time and not having ambulance service.
Right. Yeah, that's
And other
why it's
people
not
driving
fair
up the hill.
It's not, it is not acceptable.
to keep saying the Wetmore residents.
Or
'cause
my
it's
children
not.
driving up that mountain.
It's coverage in that part of the county.
It's not
Linda
acceptable.
said it exactly correctly. She corrected me, and you were right.
Yeah.
Anybody on the east.
Anybody that's using it. I mean, if I'm in Pueblo County, and have an accident, I expect Pueblo County to provide an ambulance for me. I expect Custer County to provide the ambulance for me, whether, it's Custer County's responsibility or just they can.
And that's where I was with the double taxation thing, the same thing. On the other hand, the EMS or the hospital district has a dog in that fight too, that I don't think.
They don't, and they don't want a dog.
I know they don't want it. My point is the
want
dog in the
nothing
fight
to
is
do
they've
with that.
already taxed their people
It's
for an
been
ambulance
made
service.
clear over and over
So they can
again
help us double do
that
it.
they will drop ambulance service and not look back.
Well, and that's, from the legal point of view, we're back where we were when we had that meeting. We can force them to, through an injunction, to honor their agreement while we're working this out. That's playing hardball with them, but they can't just say, well, we're not going to honor that agreement anymore. We can make them honor the agreement.
Well, I think they will say that, which will force us.
Sure.
That's right.
And I
Unless we
think
give
It's
them
already
money.
happened.
So we're going to give them money or force them to do it.
And that's just crazy.
So another concern, this is, I think it deals in the realm of the interim. I have heard a lot about going to the ballot in November. I don't know where that came from. I don't know what's driving that. I guess that would be a possible solution. But I hear a lot more talk about that than I do any other possibility of dealing with this. And I'm not comfortable with that. And I sat right in that board meeting and I listened to that board say, Council, it is the county's responsibility to go put something on the ballot if you want it on there. It is not the hospital district's responsibility. And I don't agree with that.
The hospital district can't ask for a mill levy outside the boundaries of the district. They'd have to actually amend the boundaries of the district to be the entire county, then they could go in and ask.
Through a ballot measure.
Sure.
They could amend their district.
Well, they can amend their district. Yeah, it would have to go through a ballot.
All in one ballot, though, right? They'd have to do it. And
It's complicated. I'd have to think through how all that's going to be done. But
Personally, I believe the hospital district needs to be dissolved because there is no hospital. That's been made very clear.
they're not living up to their service
So,
plan
no,
anymore. Not
they're
even
not.
close.
So what does that really look like when the feet hits the ground? It's an ambulance district now. That's how they're operating, right? That's the only district boundaries there are left. It's an ambulance district. So if they think the county needs to go to the ballot, I'm willing to do that. But it probably won't be like they expect.
But that's what the final plan is, right? That's something that would have to be
Yeah,
discussed.
but I bring it up in this interim conversation
Right.
because that's what I keep hearing is the end point. I have not heard the end point
What
is
it
going to
really
be
should be, right?
higher AMR. I have not heard the end point is going to be higher Falk or whoever. I just keep hearing
Or give it
until we
back to
get
the
to the
county.
ballot.
That could be one.
Right. Till we get to the ballot. So that's what I
I
bring up.
don't remember one time saying to you in my proposal about putting it on the ballot.
Oh,
Just now.
oh, when you read it, no. Prior to that, yes.
And it's off there because ultimately, the group that I'm part of wants AMR. Okay, that's the ultimate decision that we're working towards. But that is not our main focus at this moment. The main focus is January 21st. Heaven forbid Linda has a wreck on hardscrabble and dials 911. That's what I want. And then I'll work on the rest of this.
Kelly.
Or you guys work on it if you
Yes.
don't
I've had
like
enough.
the way I'm handling things. That's fine too.
Further discussion? Public comment?
You guys are between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, no question.
There's no doubt about it. And there are gonna be people that are gonna be upset about it either way.
Of course, yes.
So,
Well, and believe me, man, I had it smothered on me at their hospital clinic board meeting last week. How terrible we are, how bad-mouthed we have done to the EMS, and how we should be all gung-ho and moving forward in a positive direction. I heard it all in about 3 minutes. And of course, they voted to accept this proposal because we're coughing up the money. I don't know where this money's gonna come from. Have we visited with Donna about
It's gonna
that?
come from the general fund.
I would like to amend it personally to.
Well, you don't have to do it personally. You can do it as a commissioner.
Well, I know that's what I was gonna do, is if that's why I know the time to do it. But I think we oughta, I can go along with it in the quarterly steps, because it can help force the hand. But I don't think we need to pay this first tranche. They've already agreed not to charge us for it. And we need the money for things that it was, taxes were raised for. So, that's my view.
The group came up with this idea of paying them for the 4 months, which is more than a quarter, of the $4,000, because they aren't getting the mill levy for it. Yes, they did say they would do it. I don't think they really wanted to do, extend it to January, who knows. But because they're not getting the mill levy for it, that's why we came up with that $4,000 to pay it anyway, which is kind of a bonus to them. But that's why we did it, because they are not being paid for it, and we just figured that they should be.
How many calls do they make in a quarter?
4 to 5 a month, so it would be 16 a quarter.
To what, to that area?
Yeah.
4 to 5.
I said in the board meeting when they voted, they did want to do that until January 20th, because it kept their little behinds out of a lawsuit.
Right.
They were all in going to January 2020, had no problem doing that.
because Clint was loaded for bear.
That's right. That's why I would move to amend
It may still end up as a lawsuit.
Amend that motion to take that initial payment out of the motion, and I'll go look at the quarterly payments.
So strike the words 4,000 for the remainder of 2020.
That's right.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to amend the motion by striking the words $4,000 for the remainder of 2020. Discussion? I'm not thrilled about the whole thing, but I'm much more inclined to support it with the amendment, and here's why. Because I think the true heart of the thing was to try to come up with a solution for the interim. I don't like it, but I think that's what the committee was trying to do.
I think I said that enough times.
Yeah. And so I guess just as a point of discussion, that if this motion passes, not the amendment, but the motion, then where do we go? How do we get the process restarted?
Well, you either remove me from that committee and you take over, or the three of us be part of the committee, or however you want to go. This is to get us through 2020, the deadline. We have made no recommendations for anything beyond that. And our group said break it in quarters rather than say for the whole year, so that we have
Bailing
time.
out.
So we can bail out if we have a solution.
Oh, I
Get that.
And that's why we did that.
Understood.
I am not in any position, and neither is Linda's group, nor is the hospital group, or is anybody at this moment ready to say, here's the solution to our ambulance issue. We believe it is most likely AMR, but it could be Falk, it could be something else. I don't know. We wanted to get over this deadline so that if you have a wreck on Hardscrabble, someone's coming to save your little hiney. That's what we did. And, never mind, okay, that's what we did. And it's fine. I mean, you know, whatever you feel. You want to not fund it at all and try and have something resolved in court based on that 1989 agreement.
We can do that.
For the long term, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I mean, I want to do what's right for this county, but I'll tell you the one thing that I will fight you to the death on. If you say to me, or I think there is even the slightest possibility that if Miss Kelly gets in a wreck on Hardscrabble and dials 911, the dispatcher goes, "Oh, sorry, you're on your own." That is not acceptable. And that is what we faced when we sat down the first time here. They gave us an initial deadline that was impossible to meet. The hospital board stepped up and said, "We will go ahead and cover this for a period of time." They made a commitment, and I felt, you know what? They stuck out an olive branch. Instead of us just grabbing the olive branch and running away, our group said, you know what? We ought to step up to it also and say, let's shake hands. We'll help fund this, or we will fund it, however you want to look at it, and let's move on down the road. We're not talking about significant amount of money, and that's what this group said over and over and over. I grant, Bill, wasting $4,000 is not appropriate. I agree with that completely. However, it was the olive branch we were grasping.
Well, I think part of the olive branch we're accepting is paying for the 3 other quarters if this motion passes. That's more than they...
Well, it'll be 4 quarters through the end of 2020.
Could be up to 4 quarters, I should say.
Well, that's what we're voting on.
Yeah, that's right.
So you say you would fight us to the death. Does that mean that you think Bill and I would argue your point that people should be down there and not get ambulance service? Why would you think you'd have to fight us on that?
I don't mean you. I'm talking about anybody who says there's a deadline and we're taking off the table what will continue it for an extended period of time.
And in that case, I would have arm wrestled the ambulance hospital district. They're the ones that were going to say,
I know.
We're not going to, you know darn good well they're not going to do that. They're going to go.
I know there is no way on earth that you two would vote not to have the ambulance service down there.
I mean,
we're looking at the methodology to continue it. Okay? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly. And I'm all for continuing it. Personally, I don't like this approach. That's what I'm struggling with. If I say I don't like this approach and you say, well, you don't think we ought to have ambulance coverage down there, that is absolutely not the case.
I never said
I know
that.
that. I said if you did say that, that would not be the case. I want ambulance down there just like all 3 of us do. I just don't happen to think this is a great solution. That's all I'm saying.
Which would make you feel more comfortable if they're, rather than just sitting there, build the fire quarterly, not only just because we can bail out of the next payment, but it would behoove us to get it done sooner than later so that it's the best possible service we can get. And that might be getting AMR in there right now. But nobody's going to do that. They're too busy playing the Heart of the Rockies, or we're too busy doing something else. So how do we build the fire that says let's get this joint group together and get them hammering on it? Period.
If I may, I don't mean to interrupt you, Bill, but let me just expound on that. If that is truly the way we want to go, then what we need is legal counsel to tell us you have the right to take it back. We need to then send to them, we are taking it back effective whatever date we decide, and then they make the move. That's the way it would need to be done if you want to do it that way. If you want to do it as a congenial way, then we need to work with
that. I think we can do it as a congenial way, but all I'm saying is we need to get the motion going. What's going to be the next step? They're just going to wait for a quarterly payment until we get the ultimate solution? You know, we got to make it sooner than later to get the right people discussing it.
See, and that was the sense I got sitting in this board meeting, that this is to get us to the ballot. That's what I heard. And that does not make any sense to me.
That is not,
But
Okay.
excuse me, that is not what we are coming here today. We're coming here today with an opportunity to extend this through 2020 if necessary, and have a solution by the end of 2020.
We're given the runway to do
But
that.
we
You're
can
right.
move this much faster. If you want to just say, council, give us your legal opinion, we send them a letter saying effective on January 1st, 2020, we're taking the hospital district over, and we have an AMR agreement in place for 2020. That is
No,
an
that's not what I'm
alternative.
saying. My point there is, Jay, we could say that if in the end they don't want to do, they want their boundaries to be clear back here in the first place, because it's still got to be covered. The ultimate solution has to cover the whole county. And they're telling you up front, they don't believe the whole county's their responsibility. So somehow that has to be resolved. So my point is, in the meantime, I'm willing to pay a few bucks to get everybody covered through the rest of next year, if there's good faith that both sides, they and us, are going to work on that solution. The sooner the better.
What do you think we've been doing all
Well,
this time, Bill? Sitting on our hands?
Jay, you told us they didn't want to mess with it because they're too busy absorbing things with the Heart of the Rockies. See what I'm saying? When
I've made it very clear.
Can I make my suggestion?
you may, go ahead. sir.
Well, I'm just offer what the proposal is with two conditions. One condition is that it's agreed in writing that they will surrender all ambulance control back to the county, and we'll let them do it for all of 2020 unless we come up with something sooner. But it's agreed they'll give it back, and it's also agreed they will take it to the ballot to have their mill levy dissolved for the ambulance, the 3% that the taxpayers are paying for ambulance service. But I mean, we'll agree to pay them the $14,000 next year. Whether you pay $4,000 for this year or not, I guess is up to you. But give them some conditions. Don't just say here's the money and we'll get it all worked out.
We'll work it out later.
Yeah, I mean, make it clear we want them to surrender the ambulance service. Acknowledge that we can take it back. By if we have to, but if they'll just agree, then we can have it in writing that.
So we can work on an ultimate plan that
So then
could
we're
be
ready to
a
get
mix.
AMR whenever you want to.
They aren't going to play, and assuming that they will congenially play with us, we have not seen any indication that that's the case.
And you don't know that.
No.
So, council, are you suggesting then in this language we need to put something in here or not?
I would suggest that the motion be maybe withdrawn as it is now, and make the new motion that with conditions that they, first of all, they acknowledge that we have the right to take back the ambulance service. It was ours to give, it's ours, ours to take back, but they would agree that they will no later than December 31 of 2020, they'll surrender it, and perhaps sooner if we have something else worked out in the meantime.
Right.
And also acknowledge that it's their responsibility and that they will take it to the ballot in November of 2020 to set aside that 3% mill levy for ambulance service.
And if they say no to that, then we have a January 20th, 2020 deadline that we've got nothing.
Agreed. The language says we're going to continue to pay through 2020.
Right,
But
if they
don't
agree
accept
to
that,
this.
Yeah,
If they don't
she's
accept
saying if they don't agree to accept
And if
that.
they don't, then we play hardball, go into court, getting an injunction requiring them to honor the agreement, which is where we were at before, and I think they
logically,
understood that.
Can't imagine them digging in anyway. This is
Well, it's going to
working
cost
together.
them a bundle of money in legal fees. It's
Right.
not going to cost the county. That's a big thing to make sure people understand, that if we have to do it this way, it's not costing the county tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees.
They just have to understand we care, we want to work together, and we want an ambulance service. Now, the details.
Well, we need to all understand the future is not hospital district providing ambulance service. It just, it worked for a while, but it's not working, and it's not going to work. And this is just giving them time to get out of it and to go through because they are going to have to go to court to get that mill levy
Right.
dissolved. Or not
Yes.
to court, excuse me, to ballot.
Ballot. Yes, ma'am.
I
I appreciate what the committee has done and put together. But to me, it feels like we're paying a ransom to the hospital district just to do what they should do in the first place, which is cover the area no matter what.
And your point is well taken. However, it only represents half of the scenario.
Oh, I know.
Because they don't believe it's their responsibility.
I know.
So how do I like Clint's suggestion. We need to be on whether it's tabling the motion and redoing it, rewriting it.
Well, there's room for one more amendment on the original motion, on the main motion. But that's it. So I would ask Mr. Prince to weigh in on council's thoughts there about attaching some stipulations to this motion.
We have to have time to do it.
I'm fine with it. And if we can, I'll just go ahead and withdraw my motion to approve what we brought out, if that's what the desire of the other commissioners are. Although I'll tell you how I really feel, because I always do. I've been accused of that too.
Okay.
Okay, here's how I really feel. If this is what we want to do, let's just go ahead and send them a letter to the hospital district, effective January 15th, or whatever date you choose, that we are taking it back, that we're rescinding our agreement from the 1989 agreement, we're taking the hospital district back, and let's have something in place.
Not taking the hospital district back.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Taking the ambulance service back, and we need to have something in place by that day, or whatever day you choose. You want to do January 31st? I mean, let's just do that if that's where we're heading with this. Okay, they will not, in my opinion, from my discussions with their committee and with their current board, they are not going to approve AMR as it sits on the table today.
That's probably true.
That's my opinion. I don't know that for fact.
But I like his suggestion, Clint's suggestion, because we can take it a step at a time. And they'll see some progress, and it'd be easier to change their mind rather than just playing hardball. We have that carrot out there.
And that is what we're trying. This is what our committee. That's what we're doing. We're giving a carrot to them. We're going to subsidize the part of the county that you're not being paid for ambulance service. We as the county are going to take on that responsibility because we're going to take care of all the people in the county. You don't have that obligation. We don't know. That may be litigated. We know the agreement says they will take on the entire county. They don't feel that's appropriate. So that's typical how lawsuits occur, okay? If they choose to do it, Clint, they'd be 100% correct saying they're not going to do it, they'll just pay. I don't know what's going to happen. But the bottom line is, we as the county have the responsibility to make sure that if someone in Wetmore or east of the county outside the hospital district calls 911, an ambulance is going. That's what this is for, while we work out a solution. And now we have time to decide, do we want to play hardball? Do we want to sit down at the table with them and say, we demand AMR, what do you demand? And they say no, then we go forward with that. So, I mean, you're really making this, you're not making it anything. It's, our committee was faced with a deadline and we came up with a solution. We felt it was not the hospital's district, it was the county's district to take care of people outside the hospital district. And that's what we came to the table. You feel otherwise, I respect that and I appreciate it. And I really respect not interrupting me as I speak. Thank you. I mean that from my heart.
We're not asking them to eventually cave in and agree to AMR. All we're asking them to do, what I'm suggesting, is acknowledging we're going to take it back. They don't have a vote on whether it's AMR or anything else. They agree that it's yours to take back, and you're going to take it back at the end of 2020 at the very latest.
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Based on what council says, because I really like what he's saying. How about I withdraw the motion? Let's put something in writing. Let us sign it and let us hand it to them saying, this is our agreement, and see what they do.
This is our proposal to them.
Proposal. This is what
Not
we're
an
gonna do.
agreement, but this is our proposal.
It's our
No,
proposal
this
to
is our
get them
agreement.
working together.
Well,
Right, I
so
mean-
long we're working together if we say, here's what it's gonna be. I mean,
Well, Jay,
Well, and it may include.
it may include
the money.
paying them for the next couple of
Right.
months.
I get it. I'm not
Okay,
fighting
all
you
right.
guys.
I wasn't sure
We just
where
gotta
you
get
go.
what we're
I'm on
writing
board
down.
with you.
I'm just trying to figure out what we're,
I'm on board.
what we're gonna
Yeah.
propose later.
Well-
We don't know. And I think we have time between now and the next meeting or the meeting after that to get the right words that we're gonna agree to.
Well, let's put something down in writing that covers what council's suggesting. Let's the three of us discuss it
Right.
and come up with, is that what we want to do? If it is, give it to them and see what happens.
Perfect.
And then we can decide if they counter, we can accept it or reject it. If they just totally reject it, we can decide where we're going to go with it once we know where they're going to go with whatever we propose. That makes sense to me.
Maybe the alternative would be to either move forward with the amendment and the main motion, or consider another amendment to the main
I'd
motion,
like to, that means removing the amendment and then withdrawing the motion.
or
That's
withdrawing it
probably
all. We can vote to withdraw it. You do not have the ability to withdraw it on your own now because we have done something else to the motion. I just looked
the
at
So
it.
does somebody have to move, we withdraw?
Yes.
All right, I move we withdraw.
Well, I'm sorry, he can request that, we just have to vote to do it. He's the maker of the motion,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
And you don't have to do it in a motion, but we have to vote on it now because it has been amended. So it's up to you. I'm prepared to make another amendment, but I'm certainly willing to consider withdraw and make another run at it. And I'm assuming, well, we can't put it on the agenda for tomorrow, so
No,
we can postpone this until tomorrow.
Until, I can do that. I don't think we have, we need time to write the right language. What's the rush? We got 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks to the next meeting.
Yeah, I never did sense there was a rush, particularly.
So let's get the right words in, let's talk it over, we'll let Clint write up something that we can talk to.
And I don't disagree with you, Bill. The purpose of what the original motion I made was to give us time to do what it is you're trying to do now. Okay? And I understand you don't feel the urgency for it. I don't feel the urgency either.
Okay.
Okay? So if we want to, if we feel the right thing to do is withdraw the motion and then come up with a proposal that the three of us, I mean, you haven't been to these meetings, either of you, that we've had with the hospital and with our group.
I can imagine.
A lot of
That was
the
at a
things
couple
you've
of-
discussed, all of this has been on the table, discussed, hashed, beat up, and we came up with what we felt, and I'm saying we because I'm part of that group, we felt was a viable, reasonable, appropriate, ethical solution for the interim.
I may have a
That's
meeting
what we
here.
came up with. If we feel that it's not the direction that the BOCC wants to go, I am fine going in a different direction. I am not the BOCC, nor will I ever be.
If you want to withdraw your motion and postpone this until tomorrow, I can have a proposed written motion for you to consider and talk about. If we withdraw, then it'll have to go on new business, and that can't happen tomorrow. I'm not even sure about the legality of postponing it to till tomorrow because of the notification.
That's true, I'm
I
good
don't
with
know.
waiting.
I could look it up, but it
It's
did take me
November the 18th.
But like you said multiple times this morning, what's the rush?
Well, the next meeting is the 13th, which is next
The
week.
13th, not the 18th.
So you could certainly, and it's a meeting here too.
It's right here.
But this motion would come back as it is right now, or we can withdraw.
I want to withdraw the motion.
The request to withdraw the motion has been made. Because it has had an amendment to it, it will require a majority vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Do you abstain, sir?
Aye.
Motion carries. This motion has been withdrawn. Kelly, you're good with what this motion means, or do I need to restate?
No, you don't need to restate. Not a motion anymore, it's off the table.
The motion,
The
I'm
motion,
confused.
okay, so that's why I asked.
Did you write the original motion?
The board
I've got the
voted,
original motion,
Okay.
I've got the
All
amendment.
right,
You
but-
said it didn't need to be a motion, but you guys needed to vote.
correct. His statement of withdraw becomes the motion.
Okay, so really it was a motion to
Yes.
withdraw the motion and the amendment and,
We assumed, because the amendment goes with the motion, correct? Unless you stated something
I
different.
want it off the
So the
table.
motion and its pending amendment was withdrawn by unanimous vote.
so was
The
that
motion-
was that a motion? That's
Yes.
what I'm confused about. He didn't really make a motion
Right.
and it wasn't seconded, but
And
you
you
guys
know-
voted on it.
His motion was seconded.
That's true.
What I said.
And you know what?
Would you like me
His
to do it
motion
as a
was
Yes,
seconded.
hold on a minute, because, and I apologize, I'm struggling on whether it must.
Be removed with motion,
Well,
or-
requires a second, is where I'm headed. A request for permission to withdraw a motion can be made at any time before the voting on the question has begun, even though the motion has been amended. That's where I base that rule, that it can be done, even though we amended it, but it has to be in the form of a motion. So yes, with all respect, I would ask you to make that in the form of a motion.
Okay.
I refuse.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
You're gonna get your,
You're
gonna get your pound of
You're gonna
flesh.
get us all interrupted here pretty soon.
I move that, I'm not even sure how to proceed.
To withdraw.
I move that.
Just to
that-
withdraw.
To withdraw the motion that was originally made,
And it's amended.
and the amendment.
Okay, I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to withdraw the motion and its pending amendment. There's no discussion on withdrawal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That
Thank you.
original motion has been withdrawn. Thank you.
Got
You
it.
were really correct, yeah. It
So I
did
have a
require a
question
second.
for you, just out of curiosity. Do you have a commercial driver's license in case you need to drive the ambulance on January 22nd?
No, I have every conviction in my heart that I know the clinic will do what's right.
Of
Or
course
that
they
the ambulance
clinic is
will
going to do what's right.
Not
There is
the
no
need a
ambulance
commercial.
corp.
But we're not gonna
No, you don't need a CDL.
That's not even in the option.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, appreciate it. Yeah, how ironic is that? You don't need a CDL.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you okay?
Further, I don't expect this, we'd be in trouble if we did. Anything else, gentlemen, come before the board, before we move to public comment?
Do you want him to write something up for the next meeting?
I'll prepare something if you
For
want.
the meeting mid-month?
Yeah, actually, we never finished that whole thing, because all we did was withdraw the motion.
The motion, that's all I do.
I would move that we request or direct council to write up an IGA based on what the discussion was here today to move forward. An IGA between the county and, a proposed IGA between the county and West Custer County Hospital District.
So you want to do this as a
Well,
proposed IGA?
So
I would think.
Instead of
because
just
we're-
taking our recommendation, I mean, our vote on what the recommendation was.
Yeah, I think it's premature for an IGA.
And take it back to him and said, this is how, the Board of County Commissioners wants to handle it based on the recommendation. You accept part of the recommendation, or accept the recommendation, but with a couple of conditions.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion. It was never seconded, so somebody else can make a stab at it then on behalf of the BOCC. I come up short.
Well, Clint, you suggested some language that allowed us.
I would suggest we still do it by a motion, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so you're gonna prepare a motion for us to
I'll
consider.
prepare.
That was what he was gonna do.
Yeah, it'll be the motion that says that you're prepared to accept the recommendation that Jay brought
Okay.
to you from the committees
With
working
some
together.
changes that we did.
Well, we
with
didn't make
certain,
any
No, but
with
that's
certain
what he has to write in
modifications,
there.
specifically the two conditions that they acknowledge now
Right.
Right.
about the ambulance services, strictly it's up to you to take it away. But this will agree, we go through the end of 2020 if necessary.
Right, we would start 1 January.
Well, I guess,
We got, that was what I thought we discussed. Unless we
Well,
all
we've
decide
discussed
we don't
it,
want
but nothing's been decided.
We gotta
That's the
decide what to
well,
tell
let me
them.
put it,
That's what I'm getting at.
I'm gonna put it that we agree with the 4,000 now and the $3,500 quarterly. You can discuss it and
Or we
modify
can
it.
vote on that now and
But,
tell you what to do.
But it'll be that condition that we can take it back, and the other condition is gonna be they understand it's their obligation to take it to the ballot in November of 2020 to have the mill levy for EMS service dropped as far as for the hospital district.
So at the risk of being wrong, I will move that we direct council to provide language for us to consider at the November 13th board meeting, including paying the hospital district $14,000, no, to include paying the hospital district $3,500 per quarter for 2020, with the understanding if we can come up with a resolution to the issue of ambulance coverage, that those payments would stop.
Okay, and what about the 4,000 for this
That's
year?
not in the motion.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'll draw it up that way, and then you can
Modify
debate it and do whatever you want, but,
That's my motion.
okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
I know I got a little rambly there, Kelly. I'll try to be a little more succinct. It's been moved and seconded to authorize council to draft language for us to consider in the form of a motion at our November 13th meeting, containing language of paying the hospital district $3,500 per quarter for ambulance coverage outside of their hospital district for 2020 or until we find a permanent solution. And the other conditions that we talked about of
They're acknowledging that
Acknowledging
you have
the-
the right to take back
Right.
the ambulance service. And that it's their obligation to take it to the voters in the next general election to have that mill levy set aside that they're receiving. In anticipation, you're gonna have something else.
Right.
Because that gives you the freedom right to go start negotiating with AMR right away if that's the agreement we have in place.
Yeah, I have a question.
Time
It
being.
has not any debate here. It's just, should it include the expectation that we will work toward that ultimate solution during this time, or, rather than just paying quarterly payments to get through the year? We gotta
Well, I would think
continue
maybe
to resolve the
in
long-term
an
solution.
effort to resolve the long-term, come to a long-term resolution on
That
EMS.
I think it has to be in there, otherwise you can just sit and make payments and they bail out.
Well, that's fine. I'll get the
I
wording
mean,
to you.
obviously, we'll have an opportunity to debate it.
Oh, sure, and you can change it around all you want to.
But
It was
at least
just,
we're moving off score zero.
okay.
So can I read this again?
I got a doctor's appointment I gotta get to in Pueblo,
It's
so I
not
gotta
been
go.
seconded yet.
I gotta get
There
Do we have a second to the motion?
It was seconded.
We'll be discussing it tomorrow when
Yeah.
I get back here.
Debate, yes, ma'am, go ahead. And Clint, if you'll just listen to this on your way out.
I'm listening.
So, to direct Clint to prepare language to consider in the form of a motion for the November 13th meeting to consider paying the hospital district $3,500 per quarter for service outside of the district through 2020 unless a solution is made before that.
For the year of 2020, not to include 19.
Right.
And how did we say, as there's work toward the ultimate solution, just unless, is that word enough, Clint?
That's enough. Can you, that part of it, can you email that to me? Just type that up real quick and email it to me so I've got that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion that directs Attorney Smith to draft language for us to consider in the form of a motion on November 13th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
See you in the morning.
Yep, yep. Okay, we'll move on. Public comment. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Well, I'd like to make a statement on
You may.
the last issue. I don't think the hospital district will be in favor of being responsible for the election.
Okay.
I mean, I'm 100% confident of that. And I think they also will expect something in 2019.
Expect
Oh.
what, I'm sorry?
Something in 2019.
Something in I don't know. Oh,
Some
money?
money.
Money.
Compensation.
And if
'Cause
they-
that was-
And if they don't have it, then they won't.
I
provide
doubt
the
that,
service.
but you
Well,
know,
you
but
say
still.
one part, you're not gonna say the other part? I
No,
mean,
because I'm not authorized to say that, but as a board member, I would not be in support of delaying that, and as the treasurer.
Knowing that the board already voted to provide that service,
Right,
correct?
but we also thought we were working on a solution
And
that would include 2019.
Okay. All right. Well,
But,
this will come back on the agenda, by the way, Miss Kara, for November the 13th.
I'm Ann.
No, I'm talking about Kara in the back. Sorry, I'm looking right past you. I'm asking her to put this on the
Yeah,
agenda.
unfortunately, I'm out of town on the 13th,
Yeah.
but you can bring it back,
So,
Jay can call me and let me know what's going on.
so the language, Miss Kara, would be consideration of it's not, well, would it be the committee's recommendation or not?
No,
No,
the
it's not
committee
that
made its
way.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Consideration
No,
of
this
a
is-
motion to move.
You didn't accept the
We
committee's
never
rec-
acted on it.
Well, you didn't accept the committee's recommendation by not acting on it.
Correct. Yeah. So I would
Modify
guess
it.
then to consider I get, what we're really doing is considering council's proposed
Proposed
language.
language
It's
for
not a
to
motion,
move forward.
not a motion, it's language that we're gonna put into a motion most likely.
Right.
But-
Language
So,
for a motion.
consideration of Attorney Smith's language pertaining to the interim solution to the ambulance issue. I don't know. It gets kind of convoluted.
Providing ambulance service for the county, interim service.
Okay.
Yeah. Further public comment?
I have a comment.
Go ahead, sir.
Do we even bother continuing with my group? Why?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Why? If you,
I don't know that they need to. Unless
So
the two
how are
boards
you going to
want
work
them
out?
to find a long-term
The
solution.
long-term solution has to have that's our intent, is to get a
you
joint
already
group.
told me what you want your long-term solution.
No, it
to
didn't.
be.
The long-term solution can be county only, AMR, it can be a mix, who knows? Nobody's negotiated with anybody yet on providing service.
I think you were very clear throughout this entire discussion. We've come from, if I'm mischaracterizing what you said, then I apologize for that, but I think you were very clear, both of you, where you want to go with this. And I told you, I'm in favor of the same thing both of you are, because that is the right solution for this county. I agree with that. But we're not the sole decision maker at this point.
Right.
That's right.
So, but your question is very valid. Should, in our opinion, should that committee continue to function? I can't answer that.
I don't know why we would. I mean, we functioned the best we could. We came to a recommendation. And it was,
you fulfilled your charge, basically, right?
well,
As a
no, I
committee?
didn't, according to you, because we didn't have a joint committee sitting in front of you, and we didn't do a bunch of things that you felt that we were supposed to do.
Which
I
could still
felt
happen.
that we fulfilled a stopgap measure so that the county and the hospital district could work together to come to a long-term solution. And what is that? I don't know, because we haven't sat down and worked it out.
And I'm agreeing. I think your committee did what they were charged to do. Whether I like their recommendation or not has nothing to do with it.
That's fine.
Do we feel like the committee did what they were asked to do? And then do they need to continue?
So my feeling,
We modify.
my feeling right now would be, I would like to invite the people on my committee to come to this forum in the future at BOCC meetings, so that the three of us can discuss where we're going. I don't want to be ahead of a committee that's going to bring a recommendation that is impotent. Okay, so I mean, I would rather, let's do it right here, in front of the three, in front of the live camera. Let's sit down and let's come up with whatever it is that we're gonna do. Having a committee work together to come up with a solution doesn't seem to be...
Now, you're talking about long-term, right, in regards to long-term or not?
I'm talking about anything from this point forward, because I don't know where we stand at this point.
Well, we don't stand anywhere until...
We don't stand anywhere until we
Clint
have
brings the language back.
And even then, we have nothing because they, and I don't mean to point to you, Dad.
That's okay.
You're my friend.
Point away.
I promise. I don't mean, but until they say, yes, we have an agreement. Now we have something longer, at least interim.
Right.
Okay? But until that happens, we have nothing.
So you're saying until they say they want to work with us to come up with a long-term
They
solution?
want to work with us. I'll
Well,
tell
that's
you
what
that.
I'm
They
saying.
have made
You're
that
saying we don't
very,
have
very
that
clear.
agreement. What are you talking about?
Okay, so, I mean, we're talking about a pittance in terms of money to work through a solution, to put in place
That's
a
right.
time frame to work a
And
solution.
that's what we're talking about on this motion. So, as we
Putting
said,
conditions on them that we're not ready to put on them because we haven't discussed them, but that's okay.
And that happens on the 13th, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. And then they'll come back to us and they'll say yes, no, or here's a modification.
Okay.
And then we can accept or not, and we'll negotiate back and forth. And hopefully a deadline doesn't come and go, or as they did, and I don't mean to keep pointing to you, Mindy.
Point
I
away.
love you, I really, I do.
As a hospital.
Well, that's a
But
whole, we
here's
got a
what
whole
they may
year to
also
do that.
Then they turn around and say, tell you what, while we're working good faith towards it, we're gonna continue indefinitely the ambulance service till we come up with a solution. That's probably
Well,
what they're
and
gonna do
we-
because they care about
And
these
unless he
people's
doesn't put in the money in the resolution, we're gonna be paying him for the privilege of waiting and working together for the next year.
I
And
think,
it's our citizens, not
That's
theirs.
That's what I said. I said for them to work with us to come up with the ultimate solution, Jay.
Okay.
yeah, I think we just have to be patient enough to let the process
Right.
play out, whether we like it or not. I don't, but I'm willing to go through that entire process. I don't know what else to say about
Well, the
that.
process
We
is
can't-
already in place. I mean, it is. We've already established the process. Glenn is gonna come
Right.
to us with a proposal. We will hash out whether we accept it, modify it or not.
Right.
We will send it to the hospital district. They will determine whether, yes, they accept it, no, they don't, or they would modify it, and we'll move on from there.
I
The
think
question on the
that's what has to
table
happen.
is, I do not see a reason to ask my, and I don't want to call my group, because I am not
The group you're
leader of this
participating
group.
with.
Right.
I've just facilitated this group and I've been their spokesman. I listen to every word that comes out of their mouth and I pay very close attention to what they say. I don't see any reason for us to do that until there's some need for it in the future, if there is.
And you are the chairman of that committee, correct? The joint committee?
Right. Well, we're co-chairs.
Oh,
Right, we're both working that together.
And then I was in the hospital the first meeting, so
Right,
I didn't make it, so.
right.
yeah, and I don't, as it stands right now, I don't see the need for that committee to continue to function.
There's nothing to do.
I don't either.
Okay, so,
And I think it would be, disingenuous to have them continue
right,
and feel like they were having an input.
yeah. Oh, they had input.
Well, absolutely they
But
had input,
from
but
this point
continued
forward,
input.
right.
I mean,
I don't-
continued input.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that'd be outside of the realm of a committee as it stands right now. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. It's taken out of the hands of the committee and to the commissioners at this point.
I think we all agree. We move to adjourn this meeting?
Yeah, I'll make one more call for public comment. Hearing none, chair would entertain the motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed? Motion carried, 2-1. Let the record show Commissioner Prince voted.
Prince is gonna hang around here for the rest of the afternoon.